rivalries in all of sports. The tradition, the history, the pageantry, and part of the annual spectacle, the march-ons, the brigade of midshipmen from Annapolis, and the long gray line of cadets, the spirit of West Point, future leaders of our nation. Live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lincoln Financial Field, it's Army-Navy, America's game. And for the 13th consecutive year, we've got it for you right here on CBS. And welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Ian Eagle along with Boomer Esiason. Sam Ryan will join us on the sidelines. Proud to be a part of the 109th edition of Army-Navy. This truly is a special sporting event. In your mind, what makes this game so different from all the others?
Well, you know what, it means so much to each of these teams. And we were talking to the seniors on both sides. For the Navy seniors, they say it would be devastating if they lost this game. You know, they've never lost to Army since they arrived at the Naval Academy. And then for the Army seniors, it's a chance to restore pride back into the Army football program. And they are hoping to turn it around today.
Navy has dominated the matchup in recent years. 6 consecutive victories over Army. The Home Depot College Football on CBS will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
My name is Colin Mooney. I grew up in Katy, Texas. I'm a senior at the United States Military Academy.
My name is Eric Catani. I grew up in Kirtland, Ohio. Senior, United States Naval Academy.
Along with their class, these brave men enrolled at their respective academies during a time of war. Their courage and commitment to their country is our nation's greatest strength. Both will graduate this spring into the uncertainty of a changing world. Both will be ready.
I joined the academy to serve my country.
I wanted to represent the United States Military Academy. I wanted to be an officer in the United States Army.
Mooney will start today at fullback for the Black Knights. His last chance to beat Navy.
Beating Navy would mean to me and my brothers on the team a culmination of 4 years of hard work.
Catani will start at fullback for the midshipmen in what might be the most important game of his life.
Beat Army is a tradition at Navy. I feel that is my duty to carry on that tradition.
For these men, the world awaits. But for right now, this game is their world.
This is the game I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Countdown to kickoff continues. Here comes Army. The Black Knights. 3-8 this season, wins over Tulane, Eastern Michigan, and Louisiana Tech. And on the other side, the Navy midshipmen. 6th consecutive winning season, 7-4. 6th straight bowl game for Navy. First time in the program's history. We'll come back with the coin toss, and then we'll kick it off. Army-Navy 109th edition on CBS.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States, accompanied by Cadet First Captain Benjamin Amsler and Brigade Commander Sam Kidd.
they have elected to receive.
It is the third time President Bush has attended Army-Navy during his tenure back in 2001 and again in 2004. Weather conditions here in Philadelphia, 31 degrees, partly cloudy skies, almost balmy over in a way.
Perfect day for a football game, especially with two teams that love to run the football.
Navy lead mark of 52-49-7, 6 consecutive victories over Army. And playing here in Philadelphia for the 81st time that Philly has been the host city, will also host in 2009. And this game is being brought to you in crystal clear CBS high definition. Army at 3-8, Navy at 7-4. And a new look for both of these teams coming in with some new uniforms for this matchup.
That's exactly right. You can see that on Army side, it's all camouflage pants and camouflage helmets, and on the Navy side, they look sharp.
Let's head downstairs before we kick things off and check in with Sam Ryan. Sam?
Well, thanks, Ian. Mr. President, we know this is one of the most storied rivalries in all of sports. What does the Army-Navy game mean to you?
Well, it means to me that I got a chance to come and be with people who'll be joining the finest military in the history of the world.
When you look at these young players and the seniors, and you know that they enrolled in the academies after 9/11, what does that say about them?
I stand in awe of somebody who would volunteer to serve America in a time of danger. It says that we are blessed to have people of such character in our country.
Mr. President, I know you've probably been doing a lot of reflecting here on December 6th. What will you miss the most about being president?
I will miss a lot of things. But one of the things I have treasured the most is to be the commander-in-chief of men and women of courage and character and decency.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ian.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. Army-Navy, a rivalry that dates back to 1890. And back here in the city of brotherly love.
And I can't remember the last time that I actually did a football game where the two key components were the fullbacks on both teams.
Good point. You're going to have to kind of alter the analysis because we might see passes that we could count on one hand the number of times it'll actually go up in the air today.
That's right, as Army has changed its offensive prowess to a running game to mimic that of Navy.
Army has won the toss. Navy will kick it off. John Teague does the honors. Patrick Mealy is the deep man. We're underway. Army-Navy in the 109th edition. Mealy through a hole and caught from behind as he crossed the 30-yard line for Army. Craig Schaefer making the play on special teams after the 22-yard return. Quarterback for the Army Black Knights, it's Chip Bowden, sophomore from Plant City, Florida, took over the starting duties earlier this season. And Bowden has been successful, started with a record of 3-2 before Army went on this 4-game losing streak. Black Knights will take over 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. It's Colin Mooney and George Fletcher. Mooney is the key component, as Boomer talked about, the fullback. Nearly 1,300 yards rushing on the season. Mooney gets the carry, and across the 35, Nate Frazier, first man to greet him after the 3-yard gain. Time right now for our starting lineup. It's presented by Wrangler. Across the line, Villanueva, Cox, Moran, Lemming, and Johnson for Army. Backs and receivers, Hunter and Wright are the wideouts. Mooney, the fullback, McMahon, the tailback, and Ion Smith, one of the slot backs. They've changed their offense, the multiple option after running the pro-style offense over the last 7 years. Bowden carries it himself, and he gets buried. Ross Pospisil, who's been a tackling machine for Navy, no gain on the play. The Navy defense, Tuani, Frazier, and Nishak up front. Linebackers, good group. DeLiz, Sovey, Pospisil, and the former basketball standout, Corey Johnson. And in the secondary, some changes there with Carter and Terry. The corners, Middleton and Merchant, are the safeties. LaShawn King not here today for Navy. We'll tell you about that story coming up. 3rd and 7. Bowden's going to put it in the air on a slant, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Mike Wright. Blake Carter there defensively would have been enough for a first down. And Army goes 3 and out on its first possession of the day.
Yeah, and Wright was open as Bowden. All he has to do is get it down below the shoulder pads, let him protect himself and make a catch. And we were asking Stan Brock, the head coach of Army, how much time do you spend on the passing game in practice? It's about 10 minutes. And I think it just showed itself right there.
Yeah. Andrew Reinhardt out to punt it, the senior from Belmont, North Carolina, averaging just under 39 yards per punt. Mario Washington is the deep man for Navy, standing at his own 25-yard line. Reinhardt, it'll take an Army roll and settle in just short of the 25, so Navy will have it at the 26-yard line to open up its first possession of the day. 13:26 to go in this first quarter, a 37-yard punt. Navy offense led by the senior from Hawaii, Kaipo-Noa Kaiakuanata. And Kaipo has been dealing with a torn hamstring. He suffered that injury back in an August scrimmage. He just has never been right this season in his senior year, limited to just 4 games. But he's out there today for this Army-Navy battle.
Certainly very fortunate to get him back, because he is really the ultimate key to this offense, because he has such a understanding and understands the little things about this offense that makes it go. Triple option, Shun White, very dangerous. Eric Katani, a bruising fullback. It will be Katani, inside run on first down. He picks up 3 yards as John Plumstead got him down low to bring him down. Navy offense. Battapaglia, Gaskins, Moore, Bass, and Malloy across that offensive line. The slot backs and receivers, Barnes and Sharp, the wideouts, White, Katani, and Shinego, all 3 very dangerous in this triple option attack. Number 1 rushing offense in the nation. On second down, and Kaipo, the quarterback, takes it himself just short of the 35-yard line. It's a 5-yard pickup. Plumstead with another tackle for Army. The Army defensive alignment, Hilton, the Bentler brothers, and Ugini up front. Look at the smile on the Bentlers. Linebackers, Plumstead, Scapatisi, he's one of the leaders here, and the youngster Steven Anderson, a sophomore with a big future for Army. In the secondary, you've got Hill, Garthwaite, Travis, and Antoine Aaron, a freshman from Dallas, Texas. Kaipo on a pitch. Shun White's got some room down the sideline. Shun White, goodbye. Touchdown, Navy. What a way to open it up. 65-yard burst. And we just saw the most important player on the field for Navy. He is the fastest guy on the field. He's the guy that only touched the ball 1 time against Northern Illinois in their last game, because Northern Illinois was afraid of just this. They have to take him out of the game, and you could see the speed that he has, 4.40, as they were telling us, the Navy coaches, and he is the one guy that is the difference maker, and right there you saw why.
An electric talent, Shun White, senior from Memphis, Tennessee. The English major, the breakaway threat for the Migs, as Matt Harmon tacks on the extra point. Navy out in front, 7-0. Shun White, what a rip. 65 yards. Tennessee state champion in the 100 meters back in his high school days at Raleigh, Egypt. And White gives Navy the 7-0 lead. We are in the first in Philly. In front of Army, 12:08 to go in the first quarter. A 3-play, 73-yard drive. Shun White, 65-yard touchdown run right down the sideline.
Now, what a start for the Navy offense, and also the Navy defense, who held Army's offense to 3 and out. Now, the key for Army, obviously, is not to get down. You know, they've been in this situation the last 4 years. These seniors, they know what it's like to trail Navy, but it's all about handling adversity. You would think that West Point would teach that. So we'll see how they respond right here, because it's going to be very important that their offense do something on their next series and try to get some of the momentum back that they had starting the game.
Stan Brock, second year as head coach at Army, 35th head coach at West Point. Patrick Mealy, the return man, and Mealy grinding the legs out across the 30-yard line, a 14-yard return. Time right now to check out our Boom with a View as we break down Army on offense.
Well, really, it's about riding Colin Mooney. He's had an absolutely fantastic year for the Cadets. He's actually 54 yards, is setting a record there at Army for total yards in the season. Then for defense, it's Nate Frazier. You know, there are 8 guys on defense for Navy that have more tackles than the nose tackle. But they were telling us this week that their defense goes as the nose tackle goes. So important for him to have a big game. He got off to a good start in the previous series.
If you think about Colin Mooney, he had 1 carry in high school. 1 at Taylor High School in Katy, Texas. Homecoming senior year, and he fumbled it. He was a linebacker. He was a defensive guy. And Bowden takes a shot as Wyatt Middleton read the play perfectly, the rover, and limited Bowden to a 2-yard gain. And Mooney had no idea that this is the way things would develop for him at Army. Came here, he got switched over to fullback. They were running a pro-style offense. He never thought he would get as many touches as he's gotten in his senior year.
Yeah, well, needless to say, he was the happiest guy at West Point when he heard that they were going to this offense.
Yeah, breakout season for Colin Mooney. Here's McMahon getting to the edge, and McMahon turning on the speed. Brought down just short of the 40-yard line. Wes McMahon, and it was Chip Bowden who got out and helped in the blocking assignment, the QB.
Well, here's the QB. He's got to read the pitch man on the end there. He does a nice job of doing that, bringing him towards him, the defensive outside linebacker, and now running right down the sideline. A little bit of your own medicine, if you will, because Army's defense has been watching this for the last 7 years, and now Army's offense gets a chance to show it to Navy's defense.
Army making the adjustment to the new offense after the 2-yard gain from Colin Mooney. And what kind of transition is this for a program to go from a pro-style offense and then, boom, turn the switch? Stan Brock did a lot of research during the offseason, and they've changed who they are offensively.
Well, they really have. And one of the reasons that they wanted to go to this is because it's a much simpler offense for the offensive linemen. They don't pass block much. They don't have to worry about blitzes and things of that nature. It's straight off the ball, man on man, get up on your guy and get him out of the way. And, you know, there are times where you'll see there are guys unblocked. And those guys that are unblocked basically take themselves out of the play by the aggressiveness or the aggressive nature of the defensive player. So I think it's a great thing that they did here because it actually moves the game along. It shortens the game from a defensive perspective. And they were telling us at Army that the amount of snaps that they've had on the field as a defense have decreased because of the success of their offense.
They sat down with former head coach at Army, Jim Young, during the offseason, really picked his brain, went through his old playbook to learn this option. Bowden outside, Joe LaForte. And LaForte battling for extra yardage, short of the 30-yard line. And LaForte just his 2nd catch of the season. Take a look at this West Point football playbook. That's from Coach Young, who coached the Army Black Knights from 1983 to 1990, former head coach at Arizona and Purdue. He brought the wishbone to Army 25 years ago.
You know, and here's what Stan Brock is going to do now. He's electing to go for it on 4th and about 3, and I think it's a smart thing because you're in Navy territory. You got to try to keep the ball away from the Navy offense. They need a first down here desperately.
Yeah, they're in no man's land here. They'd be staring at a 50-yard field goal attempt, trying to get some momentum back, and it's not going to happen. Bowden gets buried. Nishak and Frazier combining with Tuani. That front line did its job.
And when you're the quarterback in this offense, you got to read in front of you. He should have handed the ball off to Mooney right there. Would have been an easy first down. He elected to keep it and to try to go around the corner and pitch it, and the Navy defense read it perfectly.
So Army turns it over on downs. Navy gets the football back with a 7-0 lead. 9:21 to go in the first. Navy with a 7-0 lead. President Bush is in attendance here in Philadelphia. Earlier, he addressed both teams before kickoff.
So I wish you all the best today. Play hard. Proud to be with you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
That's the good news. The bad news, you actually have to listen to me speak. Anyway, have fun out there, Coach. Thank you. On behalf of the Army Football Team of the United States Military Academy.
Well, you see the Army credo on the back of their jerseys: duty, honor, country, and I'm sure a thrill for all of the players involved.
I'm thinking, being president is not a bad thing. You get invited to a lot of great events.
Yeah.
You get presents everywhere you go.
You just heard about this? It's a good deal.
Well, I've seen it before.
Navy takes over already with a 7-0 lead. Can Army stop this triple option attack of Navy? That's always been the question. They haven't been able to do it the last 6 years. And it's Kaipo Noah Kayako Inada up the middle for a 3-yard gain. Just about everybody involved defensively for Army. For Kaipo, it really has been a rough season for him. Just trying to stay healthy and trying to remain the leader of this Navy offense. Ricky Dobbs stepped in. Earlier it was Jared Bryant playing quarterback for Navy. And Kaipo telling us that these games against Army have been the worst games of his career personally. He doesn't want to go down in history as the guy who dropped the ball against Army. So the focus today, keep the streak alive. Kaipo knocked down. Could not get it through Victor Ugini. And it brings up 3rd down for Navy.
You take a look at this. Kaipo is actually the coach on the field for Navy, and he has such a good understanding, as you see the ball knocked down there at the line of scrimmage, such a good understanding of running the triple option. He understands the intricacies. He knows what he's looking at, and he has a great feel for it. Where the other quarterbacks, while they look like they're going to be good, especially Ricky Dobbs is going to be good in the future, just doesn't have the real knowledge and the feel for the offense. So that's why it was so important to get Kaipo back for this game.
Kaipo, the oldest of 10 children, 3-year starter at quarterback. Down the sideline and too far as he was looking to connect with Tyree Barnes. And the Army defense has held up.
That's kind of interesting. 2 pass attempts. First, second, and third down, especially after what happened with Sean White running down the sideline. And one of the more important things of this game as it goes forward for the Navy offense is going to keep Sean White involved, because he is the fastest player on the field.
Kyle Delahook, sophomore from Sierra Madre, California, averaging 42 yards per punt. Bad snap. It's going to roll all the way back to the end zone. Delahook has time and will punt it.
And what a punt it is.
How about that? Delahook sending Josh Jones back into Army territory. What could have been disastrous for Navy, and Delahook with a heads-up play.
It was a 54-yard punt, and actually what Army had set up was a return, so everybody had their back turned to the bad snap. And it took them a few seconds to realize that the ball was all the way back in the end zone, but what a great punt.
Kyle Delahook. Terrific individual effort to just get rid of the football and the presence of mind to stick with the play.
Hi, I'm Robert Patrick, and I am Army Strong. Army Strong.
I'm feeling Army Strong, baby.
The Army has taken the spirit message to the next level. They're getting Hollywood involved as Navy leads at 7-0, 8:16 to go in the first quarter.
And take a look at this, Ian. Only one player from Army sees that the ball is snapped all the way back to the end zone, and he's really not sure what to do, and he's going to be on the end here at the bottom of your screen. You'll see this right here as he comes out. He says, okay, there's the ball. Now, where's everybody else? Well, they're trying to set up a return, and Delahook does one whale of a job, because where he kicks the ball from to where it's received actually travels 54 yards, but he only gets credit for a net 13-yard punt, because they obviously measure it from the original line of scrimmage. So a great job by the punter for Navy, and Army misses a huge opportunity to get on the board.
And they're working on Delahook along the Navy sideline right now. Army takes over. Excellent field position up the middle. It's Colin Mooney. Mooney with a 3-yard gain for Army, closing in on the Army single-season record for rushing yards. Right now, let's check in with Sam Ryan. Sam?
And Ian, this one is an emotional game for these Navy players. They're without their starting cornerback, Rashawn King, who learned some tragic news Thursday as the team arrived in Philadelphia. His dad, Drexel, had passed away suddenly of a heart attack at 47 years old. So he left the team, returned home to North Carolina to be with his family. Now, Drexel was expected to attend this game. In fact, he never missed a Navy football game in 4 years, home or away. He would even cook for the players during the home games. As you can see, the players are wearing the DK for Drexel King. on their helmets today.
Well, Sam, thank you. And our thoughts and prayers are with the King family. We actually sat down with Rashawn earlier that day, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday in Annapolis. And we had just received the news that Rashawn was the 3rd highest ranked position in the entire brigade for the 2nd semester coming up. Officially the chief of staff, respected player on this team, respected member of the brigade, and a sharp young man. It's Mooney again, battling on the inside. It's just not a lot of room to work with. 2-yard gain. Nate Frazier, junior from Atlanta, Georgia. Good size at that nose tackle position. His 2nd year as a starter, making the stop for Navy.
And I was telling you how important he is to the key of this defense, because the nose guard is the guy that makes it better for everybody else, because he's got to eat up 2 blocks. He's the guy that's always going to be on his all fours. He's going to be trying to get in the backfield, you know, trying to make tackles from the ground, and he is really the point person for this Navy defense.
Looking to convert on this 3rd and 5. It's a 4-receiver set for Army. Mooney by himself in the backfield, and Bowden drop ball. Jamison Carter, a sophomore from Matthews, North Carolina, unable to haul it in, and Army can do nothing with its excellent field position.
And you can see Jamison mad at himself. He's got to make a play like that. That ball was thrown right between the 1 and the 5, and he's got to hold on to it. And that was a good pass that time by Bowden. And again, Army struggling on offense. You know, I will always say this about this game. The Army kids seem to get a little bit too jacked up for this. Somehow they got to learn to calm down and just function within their offense.
Andrew Reinhardt is punting to Mario Washington. And a fair catch called for, just short of the 15-yard line. And that's where Navy will set it up after the 34-yard punt. Navy has the 7-0 lead over Army. 7:03 to go in the 1st.
Frank Scabatisi, linebacker, Army, class of 2009, from Long Island, New York. I'll be entering the branch of Field Artillery in the U.S. Army.
Clint Sovey, linebacker, Navy, class of 2009, Jacksonville, Florida. My service selection is Marine Ground.
All-time meeting, Army and Navy. Navy looking for its 7th straight win over Army. They've won 9 of the last 11 in the series, and they have a 7-0 lead. 7:04 to go in the 1st quarter here in Philadelphia. Ian Eagle, Boomer Esiason, Sam Ryan, and the rest of our CBS crew. Midshipmen come in at 7-4, and they will be heading to the Eagle Bank Bowl inaugural edition on December the 20th at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The opponent yet to be determined. Looks like it could be Wake Forest.
They picked up right where Paul Johnson left off, as Paul Johnson left and went to Georgia Tech and had a fantastic season there at 9-3. And what a job this coaching staff has done to get this team back into another bowl game.
On the pitch, Sean White breaks a tackle, and White. Strong run for Sean White and a 1st down. Joshua McNary making the play for Army. 10-yard gain for White. Well, he knew he was getting into a pressure cooker. Ken Niumatalolo stepping in for Paul Johnson, who had amazing success here at Navy. And Niumatalolo has maintained the high level of play.
Yeah, there's no question. He could have went with Coach Johnson, too. He was telling us he was on a recruiting trip in Seattle, and he got the call, hey, you got to come back here. I asked him, what was that plane flight like all the way back across the country? He's like, I'll tell you, there were a lot of questions, butterflies, a lot of things that I had to come to grips with, and certainly has done a fantastic job this year.
Typo airing it out down the middle and caught. Tyree Barnes going upstairs to get it. And Navy is into Army territory, working against Antoine Aaron. And Barnes, the senior from Hampton, Virginia, hauls it in.
Well, a distinct height advantage, too, and a nice throw by Kaipo on this ball. If he throws a little bit more down the middle of the field and lets his receiver to go get the ball, it probably would be a touchdown. But you can see he threw it behind him a little bit, and it forced him to turn around and go up and get it.
They'll set it up at the 41-yard line. On the inside handoff, it is Eric Katani, the fullback. Steven Anderson, linebacker, 1st man there. Well, Paul Johnson moves over to Georgia Tech and does a tremendous job with the Yellow Jackets. The 6 years before Johnson got to Navy, struggles. The 6 years with him, look at the improvement.
You can't say enough about this guy and what he has done here, and then, of course, what he did at Georgia Tech. And then to see what he did to the University of Georgia in their last game was just shocking. And, you know, that guy, the proof is in the performance, and you could see it here even though he's not here. Certainly saw it at Georgia Tech this year.
Kaipo on the tight pitch, and Katani's got room. Down the sideline, Katani brought down and out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Lowell Garthwaite giving chase. Good block by Bobby Doyle, a 27-yard gain.
You know, let's start to the left. Let's repivot and come around back to the right and kind of get the Army linebackers to take one step out of the way. And this is why it's so key to be a good blocker at your slot back position, to open up the sideline to your fullback in this case. And this is why this Navy offense is so dangerous. It's not just about Shun White. It's not just about Eric Katani or Kaipo. It's all of them working in concert with one another. And the quarterback is the one that makes the decisions on whether to keep it or pitch.
Outstanding list of fullbacks at Navy. Kyle Eckel, Adam Ballard. Up the middle, it is Katani, hoping to go over 1,000 yards in his senior season. Entered action today with 807. Of course, this game against Army, and then the Eagle Bank Bowl coming up later this month. McNary with the stop for Army.
Now, we were talking about the two fullbacks in this game. They couldn't be more different either. I mean, Kyle Mooney came in, he sat down, he was very quiet, didn't really say much. We had to pull the answers out of him, right?
Yep.
And then Eric Katani came walking in, and it was like a stand-up comedian.
He had some pretty good material, too.
He did.
Senior from Kirtland, Ohio, suburb of Cleveland, out of Lake Catholic High School.
You can see Kaipo right there reading the defense and calling to the play which way he wants to go.
And it will be Katani looking for a soft spot. 2-yard gain as he falls forward.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like much because when you watch an NFL game or you watch a college game today with a spread offense, much like Florida will be running later on against Alabama in the SEC championship game. However, the quarterback in this offense is still reading defenses. They're reading the shades of the offensive linemen and how they're being played by the opposing defense. They're reading where the safeties are in run support, and it's up to them to determine which way they want to go.
Well, Navy had the big pass play to Tyree Barnes, now looking to cash in inside the 10. On 3rd and 5, again up the middle. And Katani is stuffed by Steven Anderson, the sophomore from Maryland. Anderson has really stepped forward in his second season, nicknamed the Viper, and the heartbeat of this defense.
So what do you think of those uniforms? You like them?
Yeah, they're growing on.
I actually like the helmets. I do.
Camouflage on the helmets, camouflage on the pants. Army players didn't even know about it until the equipment manager unleashed them earlier today. And a 23-yard attempt here for Matt Harmon, consistent senior kicker from Greenville, South Carolina. And from 23 yards away, he drills it. Navy with a 10-0 lead over Army. We've got just over 3 minutes to play in the first from Philadelphia.
Come on, push. You can do it.
I got it.
A little less hua.
A little more dua.
From the U.S. European Command located in Stuttgart, Germany, the Navy, Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard team say, Go Navy, beat Army!
Now, Army and Navy always have fun at one another's expense. This is a live look from Baghdad. I think they realized they were going to be on TV.
I think so, and those are the Marines. And, you know, it always makes me realize that these young men on this field make a conscious decision to go to these military institutions, the academies, knowing that that's where they're going to end up, a lot of them. And to me, that is, just as a normal citizen, I'm so thankful that these kids are a part of our society, because when you meet them and you get a chance to see them at their academies, you can understand why their parents, why their communities are so proud of them, because they absolutely floor you with their, well, I don't know, I guess their patriotism, right? Their smarts, and how dedicated they really are to becoming great human beings.
Well, the sobering realization when we sit down with them every year prior to the game that Many of these young men are just months away from serving our country, fulfilling their duty, and they're focused on the football game. That means so much to them and so much to people all over the world. Patrick Mealy on the return off the John T. kick, an 18-yard run back. Ram Villa making the play on special teams. You can follow all the action from the Army-Navy rivalry online with live streaming video of this game. Click on college football at CBSSports.com.
Yeah, both of these coaches told us that one of the great things about coaching at the academies is the selfless and unselfishness determination of each one of their players, and they said they wouldn't want to coach anywhere else because these are very special kids.
Right now, Army's in a 10-0 hole. 2:52 to go in the first. Bowden, late catch. McMahon has room, and McMahon, if he could have beaten the Navy defenders, could have turned that one upfield into midshipman territory. It's a 12-yard gain for Army.
You know, and I think you could see right here that the Navy team is a little bit faster than Army because McMahon has a chance here for a huge play. As you can see, the Navy guys caught up inside the hash marks, and as he takes off down the field, you can see the closing speed of the Navy players compared to the Army player. But it's a great job by Bowden there to realize the pitch was available, and he held it, and he made a nice play.
And McMahon's had a quiet season because of the emergence of the fullback. Darius Terry is the injured Navy player. And Mike Wright also came off injured for Army, a receiver senior from Des Moines, Iowa.
And I go back to the point when Stan Brock announced that he was going to go to this offense. You say, okay, who's excited about it? Well, the offensive linemen are going to be excited about it, and the fullback's going to be excited about it. The quarterbacks that were already on the roster weren't going to be too happy about it because, you know, Carson Williams was brought here to run Bobby Ross's offense, which was more of a pro-style, wide-open pass attack. And Stan Brock realizing that, you know what, this is not what we're going to do. We're not going to do it well. We have to kind of change our way of doing things because we don't have these kids very long during the week to practice.
Yeah, and Brock also said a big reason why they felt confident in changing the offense was Mooney. They believed in him from the start. Mooney himself didn't know what was happening necessarily, but the coaching staff had already felt that he could handle the load.
He looks exactly like every fullback looks. Same body style.
Fake the handoff to Mooney. Bowden wants to put it in the air. Now out of the pocket, Bowden did not feel the pressure from the backside. Ram Villa makes the play for Navy.
You know, here's the problem when you only have a 10-minute passing period in practice. Sometimes you forget the clock in your head's got to go off. You got to make a decision. You got to get rid of it or just throw it away. Just don't take a lost sack. And unfortunately for Bowden, who is more of a runner than he is a thrower, this is not the optimum. As you can see, everybody is covered downfield.
Bowden's dad, Bud Bowden, played at Florida. Their head coach, Doug Dickey, in the 70s. And Bowden, 2 yards on the gain as Navy was able to swarm defensively to bring him down, led by Tony Haberer.
You watch this defense, they swarm all over the place, led by their nose tackle, Nate Frazier. He gets in there, he's on the ground, but look at him. He's basically clogging up the middle, forcing the runners to the outside, and then the Navy defense collapsing around it. And that's the way that you play defense. It's about passion, it's about pursuit, and it's about getting to the ball quickly.
Darius Terry, the injured Navy player, is back on the field at quarterback for the midshipmen, junior from Houston, Texas. Their depth is being tested, the absence of King, and Tetrick Buffin is not 100%. He's got a major foot injury. 4 receivers set. Bowden has got plenty of time. Then Bowden is thrown down. The ball pops loose. Corey Johnson, the 5th-year senior, bringing down Chip Bowden. Johnson has really taken to the game of football after playing basketball his first 3 years at the Naval Academy.
A 4-man rush, and Army's offensive line does a pretty good job right here. And again, Bowden's just got to get rid of the football. He's got to make quicker decisions. If he's going to run with it, he's got to go right now. But take a look at that. That's pretty good protection right there by the Army offensive line.
Another injury for Navy, Jabari Tuani, the freshman from Madison, Tennessee, who has really been a bright spot for this Navy defense.
And Buddy Green told us, he said, listen, you usually don't see too many freshmen that come in and do what he has done. He has just been a force at defensive end for us.
Tuani, 6'1", although Buddy said he's probably more like 5'10", 5'11", but we'll give him the 6'1", 242 pounds. was a three-sport star in high school: football, wrestling, and track. Born in Honolulu.
And that's a defensive end you just talked about.
Yes.
Obviously, that wouldn't get over, I guess, in the SEC, right?
I don't think so. Reinhardt, the punt. Mario Washington from the 10. Returnable kick. And Washington is upended as he hit the 15-yard line. All those black jerseys coming in to make the play, including Desmond Lamb, who was the first man down after the 44-yard punt. And coming up tomorrow, it's the season finale of The Amazing Race. 3 teams remain, but which will reach the finish line first? Gets The Amazing Race season finale tomorrow after 60 minutes on CBS, America's most watched network. So Navy got off to the quick start. They have the 10-0 lead over Army. 21 seconds to play in this first quarter. Touchdown on the 65-yard run by Shun White. Then a punt. And then a long drive culminating in a short field goal for Matt Harmon. Navy takes over 1st and 10 at its own 17-yard line. Kaipo the pitch. And Shun White. Just chunks of yardage for White down that sideline. It's a 9.5-yard gain. Bobby Doyle with another key block, the junior from Chardon, Ohio.
You know, Kaipo has such a good job of really feeling the defense and knowing when to hand it to Katani or to pitch it and run with it himself. I mean, that's why it's so important that this kid stays healthy through this game.
End of the first quarter here in Philly. 10-0 Navy leading Army. We'll come back after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the Home Depot College Football right here on CBS. Circumstance of Army-Navy 109th edition. We get ready for the start of the second quarter. Navy in front 10-0. And a pretty good time to check out our Boom with a View.
You're going to think I made this up during commercial, but I didn't. I actually did it before the game for Navy's offense. Don't shun White, meaning make sure you give him the ball. He only got the ball once against Northern Illinois. Already today, 3 times he's touched it. 65 yards for a touchdown, 10 yards and 9 yards. And of course, defense for Army is assignment football. Make sure you are finding where Shun White is. Don't lose sight of where he is. He's the most important player on the field. They did on that first series. It led to a touchdown. He's already up to 84 yards on just 3 carries. He's the best player on the field.
Navy offense 164 yards in that first quarter. 10-0 Navy leading it. First play of the second quarter and a 2nd and 1 in a pitch. It's White circling, and White's got a first down. Spilled out across the 30-yard line. Victor Ugini over there to make the play. A 6-yard gain for White.
Now, we were talking to Coach Ken, as they call him over there at Navy, and he was telling us that, you know, we lost Kaipo in the middle of the season. He's a big reason why we've had so much success over the last 2 years running this offense. And now to get him back healthy for this game is going to be paramount. They should have a huge offensive game just simply because Kaipo brings that kind of performance at the quarterback position.
New set of downs for Navy to work with. Kaipo looking to throw the long ball. Lets it fly and almost intercepted. Mario Washington was the intended receiver. Back deep was Donovan Travis, who was banged up on the play. Travis, the sophomore from Glendale, Arizona. His dad, Darren, served in the Air Force.
I think both of these teams are throwing it more than we expected. And maybe it's because Kaipo's a senior and they feel like they should have some opportunities down the field. But right here, ill-advised pass says Washington had no chance.
Now, Mario Washington became the defender on this play as the pass sprayed long from Kaipo Noah Kayako Inada.
Very good. Very good.
And, of course, their head coach, Ken Niumatalolo.
Very nice.
Practiced in front of the mirror for hours. And a timeout. Play clock was winding down. Navy forced to use a timeout. We're just underway in the second quarter. Navy leading Army 10-0 back to Philadelphia in a moment.
just look like midshipmen.
Well, that's a low blow.
That is a low blow.
Navy with a 10-0 lead over Army. 14.5 to go in this first half. And Kaipo, Noah, Kayako, and Ada.
I don't think I've ever seen that. A quarterback standing on the sideline with a robe on before he goes back out onto the field. He hurts his left hand here, I think. As you can see him shaking it right there. And it's important because, you know, in this game and the way they play offense, you got to be able to pitch with both hands.
Yeah, well, he was almost like a pitcher that just got a base hit, and they brought out the jacket for him when he went to first base.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
That was interesting.
He is from Hawaii, and it is a little cold.
I think you got to the bottom of it there. And Kaipo, it's funny, when we sat down and chatted with him, he's not a big football fan. He doesn't watch pro or college football. He sees himself as an outdoors guy. He'd rather be surfing or fishing.
Oh, really?
He knows how to run a triple option, though.
Yes, he does.
After the timeout, 2nd and 10. And up the middle for Katani, the fullback with a 3-yard gain. John Plumstead, senior from Honor, Michigan.
You know, and for us, watching some of these kids develop into seniors and team leaders and captains, it's really quite an honor, because you get to meet them when they're first sophomores and freshmen, and they're a little bit overwhelmed by the whole process, and then all of a sudden you meet him, he's a senior, and now it's like it's in every other, you know, it's in every game. I can handle this. I'm comfortable.
Well, I thought Nia Matalolo made a great point when he said this job is more than a football job. The young men that they deal with are future leaders in this country, and they get to play a small role in their development, but an important one. On 3rd down, Kaipo throwing, and nobody home. He was looking on the near side. Jeff Battapaglia, the sophomore left tackle, ducked down from Newtown, Pennsylvania. Not an eligible receiver.
Well, if you're a Navy guy, you just want to know, where is Shun White? Because he is the instant offense for the Navy offense. And every time he touches the ball, it's positive yardage. It's just that he's not touching it enough. He's only touched it 4 times.
Kyle Delahook on to punt it. Had that heads-up play in the first quarter when the snap sailed over his head, retreated all the way back to get it, and still got a punt off cleanly. Josh Jones, the return man, backpedals to the 21. And Jones is brought down short of the 20-yard line, so he'll lose yardage on the play. Craig Schaefer downfield to make the play. A 44-yard punt. Navy maintains the lead, 10-0 over Army. A crap.
Well, take a look at this matchup right here, the tail of the tape. Who will be number 1? I'll tell you one thing. If I were Alabama going into this game and Nick Saban, I would have plastered all over my locker room, you're underdogs. People do not think that you can beat the Florida Gators and Tim Tebow, and I can understand why, because Tim Tebow is so impressive, but Alabama is a really good, solid football team, especially defensively.
But nothing flashy. Florida brings that flash.
It always equated to, like, you know, when you played a great defense like the Bears back in the 80s, or maybe the Ravens around 2000, they had a sudden defense. They could change the complexion of a play of a game, you know, instantly. And I don't necessarily know that Alabama has that type of defense.
Well, Army takes over 1st and 10 at its own 20-yard line. We are yet to see a sustained drive from the Black Knights. Chip Bowden, not 100% himself, was wearing a boot on his right foot earlier in the week. A handoff for Mooney, and Mooney bangs his way for a 3.5, 4-yard gain on 1st down. Darius Terry makes the stop. First 4 possessions, 3 punts, and they turned it over on downs, their 2nd possession of the day.
Not very good. Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator of Navy, was telling us, listen, it's all about stopping the fullback in this offense. For this particular team, they don't have a lot of the great speed on the outside like Navy does with Shun White. But there he is, Buddy Green, who elected to stay at Navy as opposed to going with Paul Johnson down to Georgia Tech, because he loves the kids and he did not want to leave the Naval Academy.
He was offered the job as defensive coordinator by Coach Johnson. And a drop out on the flat. Tony Dace unable to hold on to it for Army. And it brings up 3rd down and 7 now for the Black Knights.
This has got to be pretty frustrating for offensive coordinator Tim Walsh to watch. You know, this is a team that coming into this game had 122 pass plays called and 599 rushes. Think about that for a second. I mean, so to watch this team kind of sputter here and be inconsistent, it's tough for the offensive coordinator to find plays that are going to work.
Colin Mooney, the fullback, single setback. On third down, Bowden to throw again. This time makes the connection. Able to find the open man. And it's Jamison Mailer making the play. Senior from Truckee, California.
Take a look at this right here as Bowden will drop back. And, you know, I love it. He's a left-hander. You know I love that. And a little bit behind, but his receiver's able to protect himself, and he'll make the catch knowing that he's going to get hit if he can go down and protect himself.
And he's a natural left-hander, like yourself.
Like even more so, yes.
Swings a baseball bat left-handed.
Right's left-handed, eats left-handed.
Golf club left-handed. Bowden inside, handoff to Colin Mooney. Yet, when we sat down and met with him, the two of you didn't shake each other's left hand. I found that strange.
Yeah, but we high-fived each other left-handed.
Oh, you did.
You didn't see that after you left the room.
That's got to be like a lefty thing that I'm not familiar with.
You talk about a kid that they are really high on and think is going to have a terrific career here. Remember, he didn't see this option offense until they put it in this year. He's never ran in an option offense, so it's going to take him a while to get the intricacies down.
Second quarter clock continues to roll. And it is Bowden doing it himself with a spurt up the field. Ross Pospisil, the junior from Temple, Texas, stops him a 4-yard gain. And we talked about Bowden, who's wearing that boot earlier in the week. It's a bone spur, top of the tibia, right foot. It was a pre-existing injury that actually came out over the summer, and he aggravated it earlier this week in practice.
You must have talked to a doctor.
Yeah, you like that breakdown.
Yeah, I did like that breakdown because I have not read that or nor heard that from anywhere.
Well, we did a little investigative work. And flags come down. That is not something that we've seen here this afternoon. The referee, Walter Davenport.
Offense number 88. Go third down.
And coming up Monday, it's a new episode of TV's #1 comedy, 2.5 Men. That's Monday on CBS, America's most watched network.
That's a killer penalty for Army. You know, you're kind of moving the ball, and you got a third and medium, and now Mike Evans jumps off sides, and now it's 3rd and long, which is obviously not something that they do very well.
Evans, the senior tight end from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. On 3rd and 9, Bowden back in the pocket. Sets and fires, and complete. Makes the connection to Jamison Carter for a first down. Just shy of the 45, Rambella with the coverage. It's a 12-yard pickup through the air.
And again, what do we see here? We see a 3-man rush. That means 8 guys back in the secondary. Terrific protection by the offensive line of Army, and a good throw by Bowden. That's 2 in a row right now on 3rd and long, getting first downs and converting. Something that, Army, like I was saying, was not very good at, but thus far okay on this drive.
We told you Bowden's dad played at the University of Florida. Here's a pitch. McMahon. That spilled out after a modest gain. Clint Sobey combining with Jeff DeLiz. Give him a gain of 1 on the play. So far, Colin Mooney having a tough time working against this Navy defense.
He goes Nate Frazier in the interior defensive line and linebackers. So you see right there, Nate Frazier hitting Mooney right there, not giving him a lot of room. They knew coming in, as Buddy Green, the defense coordinator, said, and there he is. That's the guy we have to take him out of the game if we're going to win this game on defense.
Well, you would think Buddy Green would know how to deal with an option offense. He sees it all the time in practice with his own team. Bowden did not hand it off, and he gets buried by Nate Frazier. Bowden, his mom is a principal, Pam, at the high school that Chip attended in Florida, Durant High School. And we asked him, well, is that tough to deal with, your mom being the principal? He said, I didn't really get into any trouble.
No, the only reason that kid was called to the principal's office was to say, hey, Mom, I love you. Because this type of kid does not get in trouble in high school, I'm telling you, right?
Well, Bowden recognized the history, the bragging rights. You know that there's pressure in this game. And you know that there's more to it than just an average game. Now that pass never got off cleanly to Colin Mooney.
Well, that had the potential to be a huge play. It was going to be a little screen pass to Colin Mooney, and fortunately it was tipped at the line, I think.
Yeah, it looked like Nate Frazier may have gotten a piece of it.
I tell you, Nate Frazier is playing like a man possessed today. He actually heard my boom with the view.
I think he did.
He said if he plays well, then Army's going to have a tough time moving the football, and certainly thus far, he's had himself a whale of a football game. Only me and his mom know that, though, because he plays nose tackle. Nobody else is watching that position.
Army's offense sputters here. Andrew Reinhardt to punt it again. Mario Washington will fair catch. Calls for it at the 20-yard line after the 38-yard punt. Navy with a 10-0 lead. And got the football back with 8:58 to go. First half in Philly. Navy leading Army, 109th edition of this classic rivalry. Time right now as Red Lobster presents today's Scholar Athlete, and we feature Lowell Garthwaite, senior from Concord, California. Arabic major with a GPA of 3.62, branch that he'll be moving into, medical services. Red Lobster's commitment to the investment of our future is shown today by donating $1,000 to the U.S. Military Academy's General Scholarship Fund. And more on Garthwaite coming up. Navy, 8:58 to go in this first half, takes over 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
And you talk about a focused kid. Whew. Garthwaite was just that when he got in the room with us yesterday. This is what I want to do. This is where I'm going to do it. And this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and he locked right in. He looked you right in the eye and tell you how he's going to do it. Up the middle, and it's Eric Catani getting the call. Gain of 4.5, 5 yards. We head downstairs. Check in with Sam Ryan. Sam?
Yeah, Ian, and more on Lowell Garthwaite. Some journey to his senior season. Now, in 06, it was a lung ailment which cut short his 2006 season. He had fluid building up in his lungs, so he had to have surgery on a deviated septum to prevent the fluid from building up. He pretty much thought his football career was over, so in fall of 2007, he decided to study abroad in Jordan, and that's when he thought he wasn't going to play football again. He worked out every day, though, because he missed football. They called him Wash over there, which means beast. He is an Arabic major. As you mentioned, he told me he learned so much about people. But when he got back, he asked Stan Brock if he could rejoin the football team for this season. They put it up for a team vote. They voted him back, and now he's their starting safety, Ian.
Yeah, funny part of the story, when he was working out with the guys in Jordan, he looked at us and said, you know what? Arab guys, they're not very good lifters. So in their eyes, I was a beast, an absolute beast in the weight room.
How about the fact that they had to vote him back onto the team? Like, I'll take him back anytime.
And got himself back a starting job in the secondary. Shun White, little shake and bake move out across the 40-yard line. White has been the story for Navy, and you almost begin to question why he hasn't touched the ball more. That's a 5-yard game. Every time he's touched it, he's made something happen. Already has 107 yards on the ground in this first half.
And only on 6 carries. I mean, and that's why I was wondering that the last few times they were on the field, because this is their go-to guy. This is the guy that's faster than everybody else on the field, and he has a nice way about him in a sense that he understands where to be in relation to the quarterback when that quarterback's getting ready to pitch.
On a 2nd and 5 now, we count it down. 7:22 and counting left in this first half. It's Catani banging his way inside. 3-yard gain. Frank Scapatisi making the stop. He's known as Patton on this team because of his leadership ability. The senior from Bethpage, New York, a Long Island kid. His twin brother John is now attending Fordham, and Scapatisi has really become the quarterback of this defense.
Yeah, Scapatisi went to St. Anthony's on Long Island. Richie Reichert, his high school football coach, is a great kid, and you know, every one of these seniors told us we've got to win this game. We've got to try to reestablish Army football pride when it comes to playing against Navy.
I asked him what part of Long Island. He said, no, I'm Bethpage. Right. They say Dix Hills in the notes, but I'm a Bethpage product.
That's exactly right, and he's very proud of being from Long Island, as am I. And his football program that he came from, St. Anthony's in Long Island, one of the best in the country, actually. And his head coach does a great job there. And be very proud of him and his brother. Even though his brother went to Fordham, they're twins. And this is the first time that they've really been separated. And we asked him, how'd that go? He goes, it's okay. We're getting along all right.
Scapatisi told us he wants to go out a winner. This would alleviate some of the pain from the last 4 years here with Army football. The interaction today at 3-8. Navy moving the ball. Kaipo with a spin move, stays on his feet. And Kaipo Noah Kayako Inada Out across the 35-yard line. It was Steven Anderson who took that initial whiff. And a 17-yard gain for the quarterback.
You know, it doesn't seem like much, but Kaipo could hand the ball right there to Katana if he wants to, but he reads the defense, notices that there's an opening, and he elects to keep it. And those are the little subtleties that he does so well. You could see the Army defense going after the pitch guy, Sean White, and then Kaipo just turning it up and gaining significant yardage, and that's why he's such an important part to the success of this offense.
220 yards of offense for Navy. Kaipo looking to throw it. Sideline route. Diving attempt. It's incomplete. Tyree Barnes hit the deck trying to haul that one in.
And here's Tyree Barnes as the receiver. You can see he stops a little pump and go. And I'm thinking if I'm a secondary guy for either one of these teams, you want to be so focused in on the quarterbacks running with the balls. He takes a hit right there after he releases it, that you have to be aware of what's happening. You better have an intuition about you to know whether or not the opposing team's running it or running a play-action pass.
Have you seen any effects of the hamstring injury affecting Kaipo here?
Not at all, especially that last run when he's spinning and running up the middle of the field. It looks fine to me.
Kaipo re-injured the hamstring against Wake Forest in Temple. And taking is Sean White. Able to turn the corner, comes up just shy of a first down. And not exaggerating, every time Sean White touches the ball, something positive happens. 8 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown, a 65-yard run on the first series of the day for the Mids.
And we were talking about assignment football for both of these defenses, and that time it was McNary on the end, Josh McNary, who allowed Sean White to get to the outside. It's so important to see where that pitch man is and make sure you don't give him the sideline.
We come up on 5 minutes to play in this first half. 9th play of the drive. Kaipo will take it himself for a first down, just short of the 20-yard line. Well, you go back to the start of the season, Sean White had one of the all-time efforts against Towson. 348 rushing yards, a Naval Academy record. He averaged over 18 yards per carry and 3 rushing touchdowns for White.
Yeah, he was the first Navy player and the 80th player in NCAA history to rush for more than 300 yards in a game.
And a new set of downs for Navy to work with from the 20. Kaipo spin move, and he is thrown down by Joshua McNary, the sophomore from Houston, Texas. He's dealing with a right shoulder injury. He's not 100%. McNary's dad, George, served in the Marines, was a captain.
And take a look at this. You talk about assignment football. Watch the Army defenders all take their guys. You see right there, Kaipo's got a man in his face. You can see the outside. There's the 2 defenders for Army. That's exactly how you're supposed to play the triple option. Assignment football, taking care of your assignment.
And a loss of 1 on the play. 2nd and 11 now for Navy. Midshipman on the move once again. Kaipo will keep it. Banged down inside the 20 by Lowell Garthwaite. Lowell comes from a heck of a athletic family. His mother Holly was an All-American swimmer. His brother Scott played football at Williams College. His sister Sierra played soccer at Cal. So he's just carrying on the tradition.
It's a pretty good family.
Not bad.
It's all right.
Good resume. You're not going to give it up, huh?
No, I'll tell you what. The kid is really impressive. He just, when you leave the room with that kid, you say, man, I'd be proud to be that kid's dad.
Talk about wanting to make a difference in the Middle East after graduation. Look out. Sean White off the pass from Kaipo. Touchdown, Navy.
That was a terrifically designed play by Ivan Jasper, their offensive coordinator, because this time what they're going to do is they're obviously going to run that little play action to Katani, the fullback, and they're going to sneak Sean White underneath everybody, running a shallow cross from left to right. And the Army defensive backs and linebackers completely lost sight of him. And he was wide open, and it was a perfectly executed play and a good call by Ivan Jasper, the offensive coordinator of Navy.
Matt Harmon on for the extra point. It's a 12-play, 80-yard drive for Navy. 17-0. Midshipmen looking for their 7th consecutive win over Army. And Navy is well on its way. Strong first half performance. Sean White, second touchdown of the day, one on the ground, the other through the air. Navy 17-0. Navy leading Army, 3:18 to go in the first half. A 12-play, 80-yard drive. It took 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Sean White, 18-yard touchdown reception. And White and the midshipmen pitching the shutout right now.
Sean White is just having an awesome game, and as I was telling you at the beginning of the game, he is the key for the Navy offense. He only touched the ball once against Northern Illinois. Now, they won the game 16-0. The point being that they only scored 16 points. This is the guy that has the big play capability, and so far today, that's what we've seen.
John Teague will kick it off for Navy.
White 120 yards already on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Just a tremendous day.
And as the hole gets deeper for Army, you can just wonder if they have enough to even generate offense to get themselves back into this game. Patrick Mealy, they could use a play on special teams here. Here's Mealy. Stays on his feet. And Mealy breaking out to midfield. Now it's a foot race. And he'll get caught from behind just short of the 25-yard line by Jordan Eddington. Oh, you timely fashion.
You ask, you shall receive. Right here, he gets right in behind the wedge. As the wedge just completely wipes out the Navy players. Does a great job of eluding 2 tackles right there and just barely stumbles. If he doesn't stumble, I think maybe a touchdown. But that's exactly what Army needed, Ian.
And they will take over at the Navy 27.
Broken tackle there, missed tackle there. 63 yards on the return. And Army's in business now offensively.
So 1st and 10 with 3:06 to go in this first half. Navy with a 17-0 lead. Army has all 3 timeouts remaining. Colin Mooney, he gets dropped. Pospisil there. Nate Frazier there. No gain on the play for Mooney.
You were talking about Pospisil as the tackling machine, and he certainly is. Coming into the game, had 81 tackles on the year. It was kind of interesting. I was looking at some of the statistics. Nate Frazier, the nose tackle, had 30 tackles. There were 8 other guys that have more tackles than him. But a lot of those tackles are coming off of the fact that Nate Frazier is so active in the middle of that defense. He's the nose tackle.
Pospisil had a pivotal forced fumble in that come-from-behind victory. Classic win over Temple. Here's Bowden out of the pocket, throwing on the move, and incomplete. Looking for Mike Wright along the sideline. Corey Johnson applied the heat on Chip Bowden, and it brings up 3rd and 10.
And you know, while there really have been some good moments for the Army offense throughout the season, you could still see that it's a work in progress. They just have to figure it all out. They got to make sure they have the right players doing the right things. When you're transforming your team from one particular type of scheme to another, it's just going to take time. I mean, next year they will be so much better than they are this year.
But they are looking for that breakthrough win for the program. They were hoping it would come here. Bowden underneath, turning it upfield is Mailer, and unable to generate extra yardage. It's a 3-yard gain through the air for Mailer. And 4th down now for Army. They'll send the field goal unit on, try to get some points on the board before the halftime break.
You know, and it hasn't been great for Army, as you said. The last Army win in this series was back in December of 2001.
That was an emotional game following 9/11. And since then, it's been all Navy. 6 consecutive victories. They've outscored Army over that span, 240 to 71.
I'll tell you one thing, though, that Corps of Cadets, they look great in those grays,
yeah,
don't they?
That's a sharp look.
Looks like Navy's going to take time out here, but take a look at this. They all have the new Army hats on. I'm going to get me one of those hats.
Well, you have connections. You know people.
Maybe Bob Barreto will come through with one. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Bob's a good guy. 42-yard field goal coming up. Bob, of course, the SID over at Army. Right now, let's take a look at the Home Depot tools for success.
So really, it's all about Sean White. I mean, he is clearly the best player in the field. And I said it in my Boom with View, don't shun White. And they haven't today, because this kid has been a difference maker, breaking tackles, getting down the sideline. And one of the things you see about him more so than anything else out here on the field that is apparent to me, is that he's the fastest guy on the field. And when you have speed like Shun has, and you're playing against some slower players, it really jumps out at you just how good you really are. And 120 rush yards, 18 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, exactly what Navy needed to do in this game.
And remember, it was Reggie Campbell who stepped forward last year, had superior speed. Nobody on Army could match up with that, and Campbell was the standout. Today, it's been Shun White in the 2008 edition of this storied rivalry. Matthew Campbell on. And it's a fake. Andrew Reinhardt. And Reinhardt is going to come up short of the first down. And look at the passion from Niumatalolo.
It's a big game for Kenny Niumatalolo, the head coach of Navy. Of course, replacing Paul Johnson, you're just saying, you know, we got to get the first win against against Army, excuse me. And here is the replay as they just try to run it right up the middle here. And again, the Navy speed, the reaction. Boy, I had to do this once in college. It's not fun. You know, and take a look at Coach Ken, as you said, Ian, the passion on the sideline for the Navy head coach.
So Navy takes over after Army was unable to convert on 4th down off the fake. Running room, and a lot of it. So Navy able to get back some yardage from Bobby Doyle. Excellent run for Doyle, just his 13th carry of the season. Coming up, Geico halftime report. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Archie Manning, and Tony Barnhart all down in Atlanta. The huge showdown, #1 versus #2, Alabama and Florida. Later today on CBS, they'll preview the game, get you caught up on all the scores and highlights. Championship Saturday in college football coming up on the Geico halftime report. Minute 18 to play now in this first half. Navy with a 17-0 lead over Army. Keipo. Well, he paused just a bit, and Frank Scapatisi made him pay. It's a loss of 1 on the play as Keipo considered the pitch but kept it himself.
And let me tell you what kind of kids are at these service academies. We were talking to Ivan Jasper. He's the offensive coordinator for Navy, and I was asking him, was Shun White complaining on the sideline when he wasn't getting the ball against Northern Illinois because Northern Illinois defensively was really trying to take him out of the game? He said, that's not even an issue here at this academy. These kids do whatever is asked of them, and we won the game, and Shun White was just as happy that day as he will be today if they go on to win, and that's the kind of kid that you have at these service academies.
Eric Katani. Extra yardage for Katani as he slides forward with Scapatisi touching him up. A 7-yard gain for the fullback.
And, you know, you see what's on the back of the Army jersey, duty, honor, country. That's not a hollow saying. They live by that creed, and, you know, and there it is. And as they unveiled their new uniforms today, their camouflage helmets, their camouflage pants, and you see the camouflage numbers right there. You see it in person, it looks great. It really does look great, and unfortunately for them, their offense hasn't been that good, but the Navy offense has been almost perfect.
They may have called a timeout before time ran out in this first half.
Timeout. Navy.
The Niumatalolo.
Final timeout of the half. Second timeout.
Has huddled up with his team. 1 second remaining. And Navy in front 17-0.
You got Ricky Dobbs over on the sideline for Navy warming up now. The only reason that I would think that he would be warming up right now is that maybe it's a specific passing play that Navy would attempt right here. You can see him #4.
He's the sophomore from Douglasville, Georgia. Started the season 3rd on the depth chart at quarterback, but with the injury to Keipo, Jared Bryant got his opportunity, and then they gave the kid a chance. And Dobbs, he's got that intangible. There's something about him. He's got a knack.
He's got a knack, all right, and he's got a great personality. And what did he say? He was like a walking quote machine.
He was.
I didn't really get the quote that he gave. I didn't understand it, but maybe you did.
Well, the first one he said was he's been told many times because he's upbeat, he's high energy. Don't be in a hurry to hurry. Let that one sink in.
All right.
1 second left here, and they send Dobbs in with 4 receivers in this set.
Now Army's going to take a timeout here, and it's a smart thing for Stan Brock to do.
Timeout. Army.
Just kind of get a grip of what's going on.
Timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
So Ricky Dobbs getting his first real taste of Army-Navy as he gets a shot under center. And coming up Monday, you can't miss the new episode of The Big Bang Theory. That's Monday here on CBS, America's most watched network.
You know, we've been talking about the Army uniforms. Also, Navy has new uniforms. Take a look at these. Their pants have the Marine stripe going down the side. Tell me those aren't sharp. And the glistening gold helmets, especially when the sun was out earlier this morning, they look absolutely perfect down on the field. And I know Jimmy, our spotter here, Jimmy wasn't too impressed by them, but I love them.
Yeah, you've been raving about them all day.
I have.
You just used the term glistening on the air. So.
I did that. That's okay, but that's how you would describe the helmet with the sunlight coming off of it.
Ricky Dobbs, known as the mayor of Douglasville, out of Douglasville, Georgia, upbeat, happy-go-lucky demeanor.
Oh, he's not on the field anymore right now.
No, he's going to have to be the mayor on the sideline because Kaipo is now under center after the timeout. And they'll go conservative with Eric Catani.
All of that for that?
That was it. 2 timeouts, and we got a fullback run up the middle. Halftime, Navy with a 17-0 lead over Army. Midshipmen hoping to improve to 8-4 on the season before they go bowling once again. The Eagle Bank Bowl on December the 20th in Washington, D.C. Right now, let's go downstairs to Sam Ryan.
Coach Ken, Sean White hasn't looked this explosive, hasn't had over 100 yards since week 3 of the season. How does he keep up that intensity and get the ball in the second half?
Well, he's been doing a great job. Kaipo's been doing a great job of distributing the football, and Sean's finished.
I was going to ask you about Kaipo coming back from the hamstring injury. You have him today. You're saying he's doing a great job. And physically, how does he look to you?
He's looking good. I mean, he knows what we're doing offensively. He's like a coach on the field, and he's doing a great job right now.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
And Coach Ken, former quarterback himself at the University of Hawaii. End of the first half, Navy with a 17-0 lead over Army. We'll send you to Atlanta for the Geico halftime report coming up after this message from your local station.
I like that camouflage.
Rooting interest when it comes to Army-Navy football. And at halftime, Navy leading Army 17-0. And as is tradition at halftime, the president sitting on one side of the field. Army side in the first half moves over to the Navy side of the field in the second half. We'll come back with second half action of Army-Navy 109th edition here on CBS. For second half action in Philadelphia. Navy leading Army 17-0. Welcome back to the broadcast booth, everybody. Ian Eagle, Boomer Esiason. Proud to be a part of this matchup once again here on CBS. You identified it before the game, Boomer. Key to this game, Sean White for Navy. Boy, has that ever come true.
He's had a great game thus far. He's only touched the ball 8 times in the running game. And he's already got 120 yards. 1 for a touchdown. The third play from offense for the Naval Academy. Took it 65 yards, and then he caught the touchdown pass for a touchdown. And then how about for Navy on defense? It was all about stopping Colin Mooney. He's only touched the ball 7 times for a grand total of 15 yards. So if you took a look at my Boom with the Views back at the beginning of the game, those are the 2 keys for Navy to win the football game, and thus far, that's exactly what's going on.
And right now, let's take a look at our first half trends presented by Dodge Ram. Navy, not a shocker, 236 rushing yards. They lead the nation in that category, trying to do it for the 4th consecutive season. You talked about Sean White. Army, their offense just hasn't gotten going in the first half of action. They'll try to buck the trend in the second half.
Well, the problem is for Army, they don't have an offense to come from behind with. It'll be interesting to see how they start this second half and see whether or not their defense can get the ball back immediately as they kick off.
And they kick it off. Sean White is the return man for Navy. And White out across the 20-yard line, across the 25, and that's where Navy will open up. Steven Anderson makes the play on special teams as we head downstairs to Sam Ryan.
And I watched the Army players walk into the locker room at halftime. Their faces deflated. I asked Dan Brock about that when he came back out on the field. He said that's not the case. He said everybody was just trying to do too much in the first half. He said the offensive line has to do a better job blocking. The defense has to play defense. He says they are not uptight for the second half. They'll be fine, Ian.
Well, 17-0 is not insurmountable. The problem for Army is that they haven't shown any signs of getting the offense in gear. And every year, Boomer, when we sit down with the Army players, the Army coaching staff, and there's a big theme. We feel like we've closed the gap. That's always a term that's used. And they're yet to actually show it on the field in this game against Navy. Eric Catani gets the call for a 4-yard gain on first down. Ted Bentler over there to make the play for Army on that defensive line.
Well, you take a look at Navy. They come in at 7-4. They played a much tougher schedule this year than in past years. And Kaipo has not been healthy. So you look at them on film and say, hey, maybe we have a shot this year. But with Kaipo healthy and this offense, this triple option offense running as well as it is today, it's going to be tough for Army to come back.
2nd and 6 from the 32. Kaipo on the pitch, and White angled out of bounds by Frank Scapatisi of Army. It's a 2-yard gain for White, the Memphis, Tennessee native.
And remember, we were talking about assignment football for defense in this game, and that's exactly what Scapatisi showed you right there as he runs Shun White out of bounds. Now, that's not an easy thing for him to do, because remember, Shun White is clearly the fastest player on the field. And Scapatisi, if he's going to take an angle, he better make sure he's taking the right angle and keeping Shun White to the sideline and not allowing him to cut back up against the grain.
Important opening series defensively for Army, trying to set the tone in this second half. A 3rd and 4 now for Navy. On a pitch, Bobby Doyle came out in motion and turns it upfield for a first down. He's banged out of bounds just short of midfield. Good block by Shun White. It's a 15-yard gain for Doyle. First half possessions for Navy. That touchdown that you talked about, Shun White right out of the gate. 3rd play from scrimmage. A couple of punts, got the touchdown to White through the air later on in the first half. And the 17-0 advantage over Army.
You see that punt on the second series. There was a bad snap on that punt that went all the way back into the end zone, and Army was unaware of that. That was their chance to make a huge play on special teams.
First down from the Navy 48. Kaipo back in the pocket, looking to throw, fires, and he's got his man. It's a first down to Greg Shanego. He's the senior from Port St. Lucie, Florida. General science major, ridden down by Donovan Travis.
Play action pass, and you could see that the linebacking core of Army had their eyes in the backfield, and they get disjointed, and then they're able to sneak the receiver right in behind him. And watch this, Kaipo's been taking quite a few shots as he drops back the pass, but has the presence of mind to concentrate on the receiver downfield and not be intimidated by the pass rush.
And just enough to move the chains.
You know, we were talking to Ivan Jasper, the offensive coordinator of Navy, and I didn't get the sense that he was going to come out and throw the ball. And even though they haven't attempted a lot of passes, but I think more so than what I would have expected. I mean, it's 8 pass attempts to this point, which doesn't seem like a lot, but maybe that's a lot for Navy. But I think he feels a little bit more comfortable with the senior at quarterback.
Ivan was also one of the guys conflicted when Paul Johnson left. He had been with Coach Johnson basically since 1989 and had an offer to join him at Georgia Tech, but he wanted to be a coordinator and didn't want to leave Coach Ken without help at the Naval Academy. He stayed on as the offensive coordinator. On first down, Kaipo keeps it, and Kaipo is spun down after the gain of 1. Fritz Bentler combining with Steven Anderson to bring him down. Coming up Thursday on CSI, Lawrence Fishburne and William Peterson together for the first time on TV's #1 show. Missing it would be a crime. A new CSI Thursday on CBS, America's most watched network.
It's a pretty good get for CBS, Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, big time actor.
Absolutely. And you know, you take a look at the overall numbers here coming into the second half. I mean, it has just been all Navy offensively. Over 250 yards rushing already.
On a 2nd and 9, up the gut, Catani tried to stay on his feet, but he was stood up by Scapatisi. It's a 3-yard gain. So Eric Catani, he's the senior, and he waited his turn behind Kyle Eckel, who's now in the National Football League for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Adam Ballard, who was a rugged fullback. Catani runs low to the ground, strong player. He fits that fullback mold at Annapolis.
He did say that he was beat up, however. He said, you know, this has been a season in which I've had to carry the load at the fullback position as opposed to splitting it with Adam Ballard.
And there have been some frustrating moments. He's not used to defensive coordinators keying in on him. And Catani has put up solid numbers this season, over 800 yards rushing. Shun White. And White up the middle. A first down for Navy out near the 25-yard line. Combination of Curtis Bass and Ricky Moore up front to clear White for the 11-yard gain.
Well, watch Sean White here. He's going to come over the top like that, and then he's going to come back against the grain. And once he comes back against the grain, all of a sudden the Army defenders are all going to be running to their left, giving Sean White a clear path right up to hash marks right there.
Well, they continue to convert on third downs. They're 7 of 10 on third downs here today. Navy, another first down to work with. 1st and 10 at the Army 27. First drive of the second half, looking to add to their 17-0 lead. Katani with a head of steam up the gut. And Katani slowed down by Scapatisi, who was backpedaling as Katani was shot out of a cannon. Matt Malloy limping a bit, the starting right tackle for Navy after the play. It's a 7-yard pickup.
I think the cannon would be on the Army side, right?
A good point.
Right, so I don't necessarily, you'd have to come up with some other description, but I will say this. With Kaipo back in the offensive lineup for Navy, the fullback is going to get the ball a little bit more. You remember Ricky Dobbs, the backup quarterback, likes to run with the ball a lot because he wasn't reading it quite as clearly as Kaipo does. So you would think that Katani would benefit back with the senior quarterback.
2nd and 3 from the 20. And Kaipo, it was not like he was shot out of a submarine. He was spun down by Steven Anderson. I've got to change my vernacular.
Right.
Loss of 3 on the play.
And watch Steven Anderson. This is, again, that assignment football. His assignment is the quarterback. He's got to fight through all the blocks like he does right there. And because this was on the short side of the field, he doesn't have to cover so much ground. But what a great job of fighting off the block right there at the point of attack.
So Steven Anderson makes another play defensively for Army. His paternal grandfather, Ron Anderson, served in the Air Force.
You know, I just saw something. They have something written on the side of their legs. I did not see that earlier.
And have you been able to detect exactly what it is?
No, I'll have to check that out after this play.
3rd and 6. Kaipo himself is going to come up short of the first down. It's a 4-yard gain. He needed 6 yards. Anderson again involved in the stop. And it's 4th and short now for Ken Niumatalolo.
And I would go for it if I were him. Why not? I mean, your offense basically owns this game. It's about 4th and a little less than 2. And I think Ken shows his offense something here, believing in them and that they can get the first down. And why not? I would do the same thing.
Number 1 rushing offense in the nation. 292 yards per game on the ground. This is 4th and 2. 11th play of the drive. Kaipo diving for the first down. He's got it.
He has it, and that's one of the reasons why Ivan Jasper and, of course, Ken Niumatalolo were telling us that they're so much better offensively with Kaipo. Look, see, he reads it. He has the sense to find the hole and to get the 2 yards. Right there, Katani is jammed up. Kaipo is supposed to go around that with the option, but he realizes that the hole is right off of Katani's backside. And that's what he does, and he knows how far he has to go for the first down. That's just called football instincts and intuition.
Coach said Kaipo just makes it look easy out there. People don't realize it because he runs it so smoothly on first down. And a big hole up the middle as Navy was able to find some room for Kevin Campbell, backup fullback, junior from Burke, Virginia. Another hard-nosed player, and you know, that obviously the spot is filled right now with Katani, but Campbell's going to get his shot next year as a senior.
Fair to say that these are all hard-nosed players?
Yeah, maybe that's superfluous. That's a term that could be used to describe all these guys.
That's exactly right, and you know, Coach Kent has done really a fabulous job of just keeping this thing rolling and building on what they built under Paul Johnson, the former coach of Navy, and Kent has really got his team rolling right now.
On 2nd and 2 now, it's Katani. Sticks the helmet down and drives forward for a first down. 1st and goal for Navy at the 5. And a major statement to open up this second half for the Navy offense.
You know, Katani is pounding it in there. He's got 82 yards on 15 carries, but this is not the way that Army wanted to start the second half. They were hoping to come out here, try to get a turnover, get a stop, and you could see the Army coaches on the sideline looking for answers.
Well, look at the clock. 7:16 and counting left in this third quarter. Army hasn't touched the ball yet in the second half.
I know Mike Oresco's pretty happy about this, I was thinking.
College football coming up. And Katani powers his way in for the touchdown. Ted Bettler could not bring him down. Navy adds to its lead. It's 23-0 Mids.
And Ian, this is Navy football at its finest. It's the fullback, it's off tackle, it's right up the gut. And this is Kaipo reading the defense perfectly, giving it to his fullback. Katani now gets in on the scoring parade, and the Navy offense is just unstoppable today.
Eric Katani has gone over 900 yards rushing for the season. 14-play drive for Navy to open up the second half. Matt Harmon, the extra point. The Midshipmen 24, Army nothing with 6:56 to go in the third. We're coming back. Navy builds on its lead 24-0. The Midshipmen leading Army. 6:56 to go in the third. Time right now for the playbook presented by the Hartford.
Now it's 4th and 2, Ian, and this is why Kaipo is so important. Watch Steven Anderson come in here. He's going to hit Eric Katani. They're going to actually explode right here, and then Kaipo is supposed to run the triple option outside out here, but he does not do that. He senses that there's going to be a crease right here, and he does that, and he gets the first down. And that's why it's so important to have a senior quarterback who is in tune with the offense. And those are just the little plays. And Kaipo, you know, for him anyway, the best of the 3 games thus far that he has played in against Army.
Oh, there's no doubt. Redemption was on his mind. Despite the fact that Navy has posted victories in his 2 previous starts against Army, he was not happy with his individual play. And Kaipo has looked sharp out there. Certainly hasn't looked like a player that's missed most of the season with a hamstring injury. John T. kicks it off. And Patrick Mealy is deep. Couldn't handle it initially. Scoops it up as Mealy gets it across the 20 and down at the 25-yard line for Army. 17-yard return. 24-0. Navy leading Army. More to come in the third quarter.
John Plumstead, linebacker, Army, class of 2009, Honor, Michigan. I will be entering the Field Artillery Branch in the United States Army.
Corey Johnson, outside linebacker, United States Naval Academy, class of 2009, Anderson, Indiana. Service selection is Marine Corps Ground.
You can feel the effects of this matchup. It permeates worldwide. But right now, Navy in complete control over Stan Brock's Army Black Knights. Stan, of course, former NFL standout, offensive lineman, 16-year playing career, 13 years with the Saints, blocking for Archie Manning, 3 years with San Diego. Colin Mooney gets the call on 1st and 10 for Army and picks up 5 yards on first down. Has not had a lot of room to work with today. As we head downstairs, check in with Sam Ryan.
You know, these Army players are trying to find some strength, but they can gain some of that from their head coach, Stan Brock. Over the summer, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer in early July. He went back to Oregon to attend his daughter's wedding. Then on a Monday, the last week of July, he told some of his players that he had prostate cancer. He went in on a Tuesday for the surgery, was released on a Thursday. On Friday, he was back for training camp on the golf cart, but he was there, and Colin Mooney told me that meant all the difference in the world. He's really been so inspirational to them.
Now, Colin Mooney just coughed it up. Recovered by Wyatt Middleton. That has been an issue for this Army team, and for Mooney in particular. Another fumble to tack on this season for Army, and they turn it over to Navy.
You know, he gets great blocking up front, and just the ball gets knocked out perfectly.
Ross Pospisil knocked it free.
And that's why you have to have 2 hands on the football at all times. And those guys on defense are taught to go after the football, especially when a runner is vulnerable and they realize he's going down. So Pospisil does a great job, and unfortunately for Mooney, you know, it's a negative play that he's not going to want to remember.
Now Navy takes over at the 35-yard line of Army. 6:10 to go in the third. Kaipo to throw. And a diving attempt by Tyree Barnes, incomplete.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I would say that Navy would be attempting to run up the score by throwing the ball, but that's not really the case because it's not what they do very well. If they were still running that triple option, I'd say, you know, they're going to try to run it up.
Don't forget, later in the game, we'll have the 5-star play of the game presented by Wrangler.
You know, most games, they say, why are they still throwing?
Yeah.
Come on, the game's out of hand.
No, throwing the football is out of the norm for Navy. Handoff on 2nd and 10, Katani. It's a 4-yard gain for Eric Katani. Anderson and Ugini combined to bring him down. And there is a lot of respect. Obviously, we know that this matchup and the history runs very deep between the two academies, but there is a mutual respect at the end of the day.
They're brothers for life after this game, and every one of them will tell you that. And this game means obviously the world to each one of them. And I don't want to discount what Stan Brock went through prior to the season starting. You know, he had that prostate surgery, and then 2 days later, he was back at the opening of practice for Army. If that isn't an inspiration, I don't know what is.
And a handoff to Katani again. Katani banging his way inside for a gain of 4. Needed 6 for a first down. Fritz Bettler and Scapatisi combined to bring him down. Now the numbers impressive offensively for the Naval Academy. Kaipo, 62 yards through the air, 35 rushing yards. Katani, 94 yards on the ground, and Shun White has gone for 133. They'll go for it on 4th and 2 here for Navy. Looking to convert once again on 4th down. And Kaipo, this time, he's not going to get there.
It was almost the same play as they ran before. It actually looked like the same play. And again, Steven Anderson goes in there and blows up the play. He actually, and that's a good term you can use for Army Iron, as he goes right in there and just runs right into the fullback, tackles the fullback. Kaipo sees the opening, but this time it's a little bit too long for him to make it.
So off the Army fumble, no harm done. Navy turns it over on downs, but Army down on the scoreboard. The Home Depot College Football on CBS is sponsored by the all-new Dodge Ram, Geico, Wrangler, and by Verizon Wireless. Back in Philadelphia, time for the Aflac trivia question. In the inaugural Army-Navy football game, 1890, who scored the first touchdown? Oh. Hey, that should be on the tip of your tongue, no?
No.
You're saying that's a little tough.
It's a little tough, and I did all that studying, too.
You do. You have reams of notes. Very impressive.
Well, there's a lot to write down because, you know, these kids are pretty special, Iron. They all have a wonderful story, and, you know, you're just so proud as an American when you leave the academy saying, you know what, it's a pretty good place.
Well, I think you and I also feel a responsibility to do this game justice and put the work in. I feel that way for any game that we would work, but for this one in particular, because of the people watching worldwide. 1st and 10, and it's Chip Bowden driving forward with Middleton and Vela combining to bring him down. A 4-yard gain. More on Stan Brock. Sam just told the story of his prostate surgery, and boy, he was very open about it, and I think almost felt the need to get the word out to make sure that men right around his age group, he's 50 years old, get checked out, make sure that you're getting the physicals year after year after year. On 2nd and 6, and it's Colin Mooney met by Tony Haberer. And Mooney here today was hoping to break the Army single-season rushing record, and he's going to need a little more help than what he's getting right now. He's got 30 yards on the ground. Mooney came in 54 yards away from setting a new mark.
And you know that thing about Stan Brock, he just went through a yearly physical, and they realized that he had a high PSA, and the next thing you know, they told him, listen, you have prostate cancer, and he went in and had it removed, and like I said, 2 days later, showed himself up at practice.
On 3rd down, Chip Bowden. Navy was all over it, and it was Matt Neshek, the junior from Canoga Park, California. Formerly an outside linebacker playing that defensive end position. Army is forced to punt with 3:14 and counting left in the 3rd. Andrew Reinhardt will punt it for the Black Knights. And Mario Washington standing at his own 34-yard line for Navy.
You know, that was a heck of a play by Neshek. Just shooting right into the backfield, getting to the Army quarterback and sacking him behind the line of scrimmage.
Reinhardt sends Washington back, and a fair catch called for and brought in cleanly at the 26-yard line of Navy. 43-yard punt, and Navy up big on Army.
Lowell Garthwaite, strong safety, Army, class of 2009, Concord, California. I will be entering the medical service branch of the United States Army.
Matthew Harmon, kicker, Navy, class of 2009, Greenville, South Carolina. My service selection is service warfare.
Hey, Navy fans, this one's for you. The show critics call the hottest on the air. Mark Harmon stars in NCIS, Tuesday on CBS, America's most watched network. 24-0, Navy leading Army, 2:50 to go in the third quarter. And another tough day for the Cadets. The Corps has been thirsty for a win in this series. On first down, Kaipo keeps it, and he's spun down by Victor Ugini of Army for a gain of 1.
You know, one of the other things that Stan Brock did this year, which I thought was absolutely fascinating, is that he became a cadet for a day. He followed one of his freshmen around, and he decided he wanted to get a sense of what these kids have to go through on a daily basis.
Yeah, the freshman was George Fletcher, and a day in the life of young George Fletcher starts at 6:10 a.m. plebe duties all the way through. And Stan came out and said, I was tired and I was hungry. As Katani gets the call, Katani able to extend his body out across the 33-yard line, brought down once again by Ugini. It's a 6-yard gain.
You know, they say 11:30 bed there. Well, you know, I think that's a pipe dream, because those kids don't go to bed until 12:30, 1 o'clock, whatever it takes. Look at this. Chemistry classes. He has 2 of them.
2 of them.
Math class, history class, meetings. He's got football meetings in the middle of that. They have practice, additional instructions.
That's the same class schedule.
Look at that homework. They got homework right there. Look at that.
Same class schedule that you had at Maryland. The difference was you were able to space it out over 4 years.
And you had it. That's right.
That's 1 day for George.
Same as you at Syracuse.
Katani battles his way for extra yardage at the 45-yard line. That's a 12-yard gain for the fullback Katani. He's put up big numbers, 112 yards on the ground for Katani.
Yeah, and you see how big Stan Brock is. I mean, he's an offensive lineman, was a great offensive lineman in his day. So he likes to eat a lot, you know. So he's saying, when are we eating? Are we going to eat sometime soon? They go by lunch, they run, they eat, and they eat on the run, they get to the next thing. And one of the things that he did do is he readjusted the practice schedule to take into account how exhausted his team is. And then 2 is also offer them food before practice.
Yeah, smart. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Under a minute to go in the third from the 45. 1st and 10 on the flip. Here's Shen White. And White brought down by Ugini. Chased him down. Victor Ugini's a big-time athlete. Now a junior from Atlanta, Georgia. His sister Chi-Chi graduated from Yale. And he's interested in becoming a doctor.
That's a
down
pretty
the road.
Impressive family, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
You know, and he's got the size and certainly has the athleticism of a big-time defensive end, as you just saw in that last play, taking down Kaipo.
A life sciences major as we wind down in this third quarter. Navy all over Army, 24-0. They're on the move once again. Katani dishing out a little pain. 4-yard gain. Scapatisi there to greet him. And it's right at the first down line. Let's see where they spot the football. And that'll do it for this third quarter. Navy builds on its lead. It's 24-0. Navy leading Army after 3 quarters of play in the books. We'll return to Philadelphia after this word from your local station. You're watching the Home Depot College Football on CBS, the 109th edition of Army-Navy. More to come. Philadelphia. Navy leading Army 24-0 as we check out our Aflac trivia answer. The question in the inaugural Army-Navy football game, 1890, who scored the first touchdown? Charles Red Emmerich.
That's right.
Well, Boomer, this is a treat for you. November the 29th, 1890.
It is.
Dennis Mahan Mikey got the Naval Academy to issue a challenge, and knowing that no formal challenge went unanswered by the Military Academy, Army football would be born. First game ever between the two. Navy, that score looks familiar, 24-0. They shut out the less experienced Army team back in 1890. That's when the rivalry started.
I have a little trivia question for you coming up, Ian.
Really?
We'll put that Syracuse education to test.
This was not discussed in our production meeting.
No, it wasn't.
3rd and 1 as we open up the fourth quarter with Kaipo under center. Just short of a first down. It's not even a yard. And Kaipo will do it himself. Got a new set of downs to work with as he plunges forward to the 41 of Army.
He's got a real sense of what's happening around him. He knows where the first down sticks are. He knows exactly what he has to do in this triple option offense, and he just keeps it going. And really, if you talk to the kid the last couple of years, I know he was frustrated with his performance against Army, although he was the winning quarterback in both of those games. But today, his performance has really been very good.
Total yards, 402 for Navy. Feels like last year's Navy offense.
Right.
33 seniors on this Navy squad. On 1st and 10, handoff to the fullback, Katani. Fighting inside. Eugeni, first man to greet him. It's a 2-yard gain for Navy. Well, Monday, exclusively on the CBS College Sports Network, don't miss Wired. Navy football. See and hear Coach Ken Niumatalolo in an all-access pass to the Navy sideline during the midshipmen's miraculous comeback win over Temple. That's Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the CBS College Sports Network.
And what a win that was. And that was a win that really kind of saved their season.
They trailed Temple 27-7 in the fourth quarter, rallied and won it in overtime, 33-27. Give is to Katani, a cutback by Katani. And Eric Katani, another strong game for the fullback. He continues to pad his numbers, 6-yard pickup. Let's take you back November 1st, down 20 in the fourth. Midshipmen scored 3 times in 9 minutes and 16 seconds to tie the score at 27. Ricky Dobbs, the 1-yard touchdown run in overtime, ended up sealing the victory. Navy 33-27.
And you could see why they are so excited about Ricky Dobbs moving forward as quarterback. You saw that one pitch down on the goal line where he was just absolutely engulfed and had the presence of mind to get rid of the ball that led to a touchdown.
And the pitch to Shun White. Scapatisi and Mario Hill over there, but it's a first down for Navy. 8-yard pickup for White. White and Katani are in a battle over who's going to be the leading rusher here today for Navy.
Would you have guessed that Katani actually has 23 carries? Doesn't seem that way, right? Because Shun White, who has only touched the ball 12 times in the running department, has 146 yards.
Katani with 124 yards on the ground and a touchdown. 1st and 10 at the Army 25. Step back and throw. Almost picked off. Donovan Travis had a chance at it. The sophomore has a couple of picks this season.
And we should have had one there right now, because those are the types of plays that you have happen to you, and then you go home and you think about it. You can't get any sleep. Next morning you wake up maybe after a 4-hour broken night of sleep, and you're saying to yourself, that was an opportunity for me to make a huge play for my team.
12 straight losing seasons for the Army Black Knights. 4 head coaches over that span. On 2nd down, it's Katani, and he is surrounded by the likes of John Plumstead, who was the first man there. Plumstead is actually a walk-on this Army squad. Originally from Honor, Michigan, population 299, although he said, I'm not really part of the 299. I'm in Honor, but I'm on the outskirts. we have to contact the census or something. I didn't fully understand what he was talking about.
And this is your classic overachiever right here. A kid that walked on, didn't think he was going to have a shot, and now he finds himself as a starter.
And an emotional leader, kind of like the glue to this defense. On a 3rd and 5 now for Navy. And Kevin Campbell That ball appeared to pop loose. Plumstead was over there, but Navy's got it. It's Kaipo who comes out of the fray with it. And it's 4th down now for the Mids.
And I would think that Coach Niumatalolo was probably going to go for it. And right here, you'll see the ball come out. Another opportunity for Army, and they just can't seem to catch a break.
So 4th down now for Navy.
That was the exchange between Kaipo and his fullback. And, you know, again, probably getting a little bit too cute. I couldn't really tell because I'm not an option quarterback, but really? I think he probably was trying to pull it out of there. And the fullbacks will always tell me, if you are past the quarterback and that ball is still there, that's your football.
You never played in an option system, huh?
No, the worst I ever had to do is when Jerry Claiborne was my first coach at Maryland. I'll tell you all about it when we come back.
Oh, that's a tease.
It is a tease.
We'll come back. A timeout here in Philly. Navy up 24-0.
It's time for our Geico scoring recap.
Scoring started early for Navy. 7-0 lead on the 65-yard touchdown run from Sean White. First possession of the day for the midshipmen. The electrifying talent of White. Long drive ended in a 23-yard field goal for Matt Harmon. And then through the air, Kaipo to White. 18-yard touchdown reception, 17-0 in the 3rd quarter. Katani getting in on the scoring act, the fullback, a 5-yard touchdown run. That's where we stand. 24-0 Navy in front of Army. 11:07 to go in the 4th quarter. After the timeout, they send the field goal unit out with Matt Harmon. A 36-yard attempt. Harmon won a state title in soccer as a senior in Greenville, South Carolina, Eastside High School. Versatile, he can kick, he can punt, he can kick off if need be. And a 36-yard attempt now for Harmon. Bryant puts it down, and Harmon drills it. 27-0. Navy in front of Army. They're trying to get the cannon going here in Philly.
That's not good.
Michael Wright, receiver, Army. Class of 2009, Des Moines, Iowa. I will enter the Signal Corps of the United States Army.
TJ Thiel, wide receiver, Navy, class of 2009, Minneapolis, Minnesota. My service selection is Navy pilot.
The Home Depot College Football on CBS is sponsored by the all-new Dodge Ram, the Hartford, Applebee's, and by Dial for Men. And for the 81st time, Philadelphia is the host city for Army-Navy. Navy leading Army 27-0. Early stages of this 4th quarter, a 13-play, 55-yard drive. Harmon with the 36-yard field goal to tack on 3 more. Army still looking for its first points of the afternoon.
I don't know who I'm more impressed with, the Navy offense or the Navy defense. Both are playing exceptionally well, but Sean White, 146 yards on the ground, and Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator of Navy, looking for it. That's not Buddy.
That's
Green.
not Buddy, no.
No. But I know that hairstyle. So I think Steve Shear has a hairstyle like that.
That's our producer. John T. kicking off to Patrick Mealy. And Mealy from the 3. Able to stay on his feet as he crossed the 20-yard line and out around the 23-yard line. That's where Army will open up this drive. Don't forget, coming up, SEC Championship presented by Dr. Pepper. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Florida. Later today, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. It all begins with College Football Championship Saturday, presented by TIAA Crep. And we're told Percy Harvin is still a question mark with that ankle injury for Florida.
I'll tell you how impressive is Tim Tebow, though. What a football player. And that's what he is. He is a true football player in the real sense of the word, not just a quarterback, as you see Mooney going right up the middle for 5 yards. And, you know, we were talking about that championship game, Ian. I'm still shocked. Well, I don't say I'm shocked, but, you know, you have the #1 team in the country. They're undefeated. Nobody expected them to be undefeated. They had a great season under Nick Saban, but yet they are the decided underdog in that game.
A number 1 team.
Underdog. And not just underdog, I mean decided
in their conference championship game, not in the national championship. On second down, it's Mooney again, and Colin Mooney's got a first down out across the 35-yard line, and now Mooney is inching closer to that single-season rushing mark at Army. He's trying to top the previous mark held by Mike Mayweather, set back in 1990 of 1,338 rushing yards.
You know, and I think that particular mark, if he's able to make it, will be a great accomplishment for this young man, and certainly deserving of him. And when you meet him, you realize just how good a kid he is, and while it would be a great accomplishment.
He's 11 yards away from the record. Mooney gets another carry. No, it's a pitch from McMahon. McMahon. Blake Carter blew up the play as he tried to make the move along the corner. Well, let's take you back, 1990. Mike Mayweather, 1,338 yards.
Look at how big his shoulder pads are.
You don't think that's all him?
And the loose jersey. You don't see that anymore. That's old school right there, Ryan.
Yeah, that's some old school speed, too, from Mayweather. Getting out in the open field. On a 2nd and 10 now for Army. Fake the handoff. And now Bowden will swing it to Tony Dace. And Dace able to haul it in. The senior from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, known as Tow Truck. Jeff DeLiz read it well. It's a loss of 2 on the play. Counted down to the 9-minute mark in this 4th quarter. And Mooney is very close to grabbing that Army record. And who would have thought that this was a kid that was a linebacker in high school and carried the ball once during his high school career. He was surprised when the coaching staff told him, yeah, we're interested in you and we want you to play fullback. But I've never played fullback. That's okay, son. Handoff. Mooney banging his way just shy of the 40-yard line, give him a gain of 5. Corey Johnson, former point guard on the basketball team. Johnson is now a senior for Navy. He started at point guard as a freshman.
This is one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever heard. He's a point guard for the for the basketball team, and then is now an outside linebacker for the football team. That doesn't seem to equate. I know, so Nate Robinson of the Knicks, he was a defensive back in college, but a linebacker, like a point guard, you figure maybe wide receiver, punter, kicker, not a linebacker.
Army will punt with Andrew Reinhardt. And Mario Washington will watch it sail over his head. This one, oh, that's perfect. And down at the 1 by Army down the field. Wes McMahon on the touch. More 4th quarter action when we come back.
My name is Colin Mooney. I grew up in Katy, Texas. I'm a senior at the United States Military Academy. I wanted to represent the United States Military Academy. I wanted to be an officer in the United States Army. Beating Navy would mean to me and my brothers on the team a culmination of 4 years of hard work. And this is the game I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Navy leading Army, 7:48 to go in this 4th quarter. And don't forget, after the game, Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Archie Manning, Tony Barnhart are all down in Atlanta. College Football Championship Saturday presented by TIAA Cref, followed by the huge showdown, 1 versus 2, Alabama and Florida. Coming up here on CBS. The Navy takes over 1st and 10 from the 1-yard line, handed off to Eric Katani up the middle. And he picks up 2 yards right up the gut. Down to 7:40 and counting left in this 4th quarter. Ted Bentler in on that stop for Army. And we need to mention this about Ted Bentler because he transferred from Iowa. It's his last year of eligibility, but he's only a junior at Army. He will petition for an NCAA waiver to get an extra year with the Black Knights. It's a unique situation.
And memo to the NCAA, this is the guy that you want to give another year to. This is the type of guy, the character, and the guy who gets it. And I'll explain that right after this, what I mean.
Hypo on the pitch.
There'll be a little flag here, I think, on Navy. But what I was saying is that, you know, Bentler, it's usually the other way around. You leave the service academy when you think you might have a chance to go to the pros and to go to another school. And that was not the case with Bentler, as he wanted to come back to West Point, and he wanted to be with his brother. And he did that, and because he did that, he had to lose a year of eligibility. But the Army folks were telling us that they will petition the NCAA to see if they can give him another year. And if there were ever a kid that deserves it, I would think that this kid does, because he's doing it the other way.
All the credits that he built up at Iowa in 2 years.
Didn't mean anything.
Yeah, did not transfer over. He started from scratch when he got to West Point. And he's scheduled to graduate on time next year. The question is whether or not he's only played 3 years of college football. 2 at Army, 1 at Iowa. So you're basically asking the NCAA to allow him to play his 4th year. He was redshirted 1 year at Iowa. After the penalty.
You know, I hope somebody is smart enough over there to just look at this thing from a logical perspective and give a really good kid a chance to play another year of football. And as you see that written on the back of his jersey, duty, honor, country, nobody epitomizes it more than this kid.
6:28 to go. A timeout taken in the 4th. We'll come back with more from Philadelphia. Yes.
How about 10 cents a gallon?
Is that what we're going for? 10 cents a gallon?
We need something.
After the timeout, Navy's got it with a 3rd and 8. And backed up on their own 3-yard line. Hypo on the give for Bobby Doyle, and he's driven backwards. Steven Anderson turned him over.
You know, you can say a lot about this Navy offense today, and you should, because they've racked up a lot of yards. But this kid right here, Steven Anderson, has actually played a well of a football game. There have been a couple times where he and Catani have just met head on. And I've always thought, like, if you're a fullback and a middle linebacker, you're saying to yourself, I'm going into the game, I'm going to be getting into, I don't know, 30, 40 collisions. And to continue to do that, especially with your team down 27-0, speaks of what this game means to one Steven Anderson.
And Anderson's brother Brad was a linebacker at UMass.
Well, they're picking the stuff out of his helmet there. The life of a linebacker, especially in a game in which the fullback is the featured player.
Well, the stuff in his helmet kind of blends in with the camouflage look. And a timeout taken with 5:38 to go in the 4th. Coming up tomorrow, the NFL on CBS puts you right in the playoff rumble. Jaguars tangling with the Bears. Texans taking on Green Bay. The Jets at San Francisco. And a big one, Cincinnati at Indianapolis.
And look at the good-looking guy in the middle right there. Not Shannon, the other guy next to him.
Who's that, Dan?
No, the blonde-headed guy with the blue.
Bill Cowher was an original blonde. Oh, you!
Yeah,
You're on the right. NFL Today.
JB laughing at us.
JB's, he finds you guys very entertaining.
Yeah, well, he does a good job. He's like the ultimate point guard.
Oh, he's putting it all together.
All right,
the traffic.
I want to put your Syracuse degree to a test right here.
Broadcast journalism, 1990.
All right, the Naval Academy is one of 4 schools to produce both a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
U.S. president, Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Now, would you like the school, then you give me the president and the quarterback, or would you like me to give you the president and you give me the school and the quarterback?
No, that's good. That's good.
What would you like?
Well, we know Staubach, obviously.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the school, you give me the quarterback, and then we'll kind of meander through the president, all right? How about that?
I like that. Punt now for Navy, which buys me some time. Kyle Delahood. And Jones taken back to the 45-yard line. Jones turns it upfield, and a flag comes down as he's dropped at the 46 by Craig Schaefer. So penalty marker on the play. There have not been a lot of them.
All right, you ready for your first school?
I'm ready.
Michigan.
Ooh.
Oh, come on. That's like...
Michigan. All right, Super Bowl quarterback, we know. That's Tom Brady.
Okay.
The president.
Easy.
Oh, I know. He played football at Michigan, in fact.
That's exactly right.
Gerald Ford.
Very good, Ian.
Thank you.
All right, you ready for your second school?
Oh, there's more?
Yeah, come on. There's definitely more.
All right, give me the second school.
All right. Stanford.
Stanford. Oh, with Oakland. Jim Plunkett.
Very nice. It's another great Stanford quarterback that you might know.
Oh, yeah, I might have heard of him. John Elway.
That's right. He wore my number.
Is that how he sees it? Or?
That's how I see it.
Oh, that's how you see it.
Yeah.
And the president, I don't know.
You'll never get the president.
Who was the president?
Herbert Hoover.
I would not have gotten Herbert Hoover.
And one more school for you. As you obviously know, it's the Naval Academy is Jimmy Carter and Roger Staubach.
Correct.
And then one more school. I'm going to give you the quarterback. I'll give you the president. You give me the school.
Okay, from the 35 on first down. They're trying to get Colin Mooney the single-season record. He enters this drive with 49 yards, and he gets gang tackled by Navy.
All right, here's the president. You ready?
Yeah.
Benjamin Harrison.
Benjamin Harrison. I think the school is Miami of Ohio.
Very impressive.
And the quarterback, Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Of course, yes.
Oh, good stuff, Boomer.
Okay.
Well done. Maryland, anything? Hello?
Excuse me?
Syracuse neither. So
okay.
Chip Bowden up the middle. Well, this Navy defense, Buddy Green, when we sat down with him the other day, he said in all his years at Navy, he has never seen a group improve from one year to the next like this Navy defense has from 07 to 08.
That's exactly right. And you know, right now, Colin Mooney is 4 yards short of the record. There is Buddy right there. And, you know, this is a huge play for Army right here. If they want to get this ball back and give Colin Mooney a shot, maybe he can get it on this particular play right now.
On a 3rd and 7. Out that side, Joe LaFort's got a first down. And they'll move the chains for Army. Let's follow up on something we talked about earlier. Did you have any experience in an option attack?
Oh, I didn't know Maryland. Jerry Claiborne was my coach when I first got there. Of course, Bobby Ross replaced him my last 2 years. And we ran an offense with Jerry Claiborne where we would pitch it to the tailback, and then the quarterback would be the lead blocker coming around the corner. And back in the day, in the ACC, you know, guys out there were Michael Dean Perry, his brother, the refrigerator was out there, and you'd have to block him as a quarterback.
On a handoff for Colin Mooney.
And interestingly enough, the quarterback that preceded me at Maryland was none other than Mike Tice.
Oh.
And the interesting play here today is that his brother John Tice is the offensive line coach for Army, and it just brought back all those memories of pitching and leading around the corner.
You start talking about it, look what happens. Boomer Esiason, there's John Tice, Stephen Trimble, the connection to this matchup. Son that played in this game over the last few years, wide receiver.
John's going to shoot me for showing that picture with that mustache.
And on the give, Nate Frazier making another play. Blake Carter there as well. Chip Bowden carrying it himself. Thursday on Survivor, the competition intensifies, setting the stage for the season finale 1 week from tomorrow on CBS, America's most watched network.
You know, if they want to get Colin Mooney the record, he's at 15 carries, 50 yards. He needs 4 more yards, and they haven't given him the ball the last 2 plays.
Navy indicating the players 7 in a row over Army. Bowden for Mooney. It's a catch. Mooney's going to come up short of a first down. He got spilled out by Blake Carter. And with 2:36 and counting, boy, it looks like Mooney's going to come up just short of the Army record. He's got 50 yards on the ground. He needed 54 to break Mike Mayweather's mark, single season.
Well, they're going to have to go for it here, and obviously they'll need to convert to make a first down to give him a shot at it with 2:19 and counting in the game.
Colin Mooney, the senior from Katy, Texas.
I'm jumping right in.
Sure, no problem. Okay.
Out of the gun, Bowden. Protection holds up. Bowden throws. He's got a first down to LaFort. Darius Terry, the coverage, the junior. And this drive remains alive with 2:01 on the clock.
You know, I know what this means to Colin Mooney, and I hope for his sake that he can get it. And it's nice here that the Army offense has been able to convert a couple times on 3rd down. Just wonder if the Army coaches are aware of this.
He needs 4 yards to set the single season record. On first down for Army in Navy territory, and Bowden's thrown. Bowden under a heavy rush, and he's dropped at the 45-yard line. It'll be a loss of 3 on the play. Billy Yarborough. Yarborough, the sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina. Don't forget, SEC Championship. It's straight ahead, presented by Dr. Pepper. It's the game everybody's been waiting for. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Florida. Kickoff, 4 o'clock Eastern time, right here on CBS.
And, you know, Army just took a timeout, and the interesting thing about this is that if Colin Mooney doesn't make it, he won't complain.
No.
He won't say anything to anybody. He won't go to the coach after the game and get in the coach's face. These kids aren't those type of kids.
Right now, it's time for the DirecTV player of the game. It's Shun White. 12 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, the other through the air. Shun White, the big key, as you talked about before we kicked this one off, and it turned out to be the difference maker for Navy.
He really was the difference maker. And not only was he the key player in this game, but when you take a look at Kaipo and what Kaipo did at quarterback, finally getting your senior quarterback back and getting your leader on offense back, everybody else benefited from it, and certainly Shun White was one of them. Also, Eric Katani at fullback, 25 carries for 127 yards and a touchdown as well.
On a 2nd and 13 now for Army. Bowden will throw it. And incomplete. Jamison Mailer, the intended target, brings up 3rd and 13 for the Black Knights. A minute and a half to play here in the 4th.
I'm always reminded when I go down on the field before the game, especially in a college game, just how wide apart the hash marks are. And you're asking your quarterback to throw it from the left hash mark down to the right sideline. That's like 50 yards, it seems like. The ball is in the air, and it travels forever.
Well, just moments ago, Ken Niumatalolo got drenched on the sideline. What a season it's turned out to be. 8-4 in his first year as a head coach, with a bowl game coming up. Bowden underneath, and catch made by Mailer. You know, for Niumatalolo, a dream come true to be the head coach at a Division I football program. Kaipo and Katani, the combination.
Yeah, but he had a jacket that was water repellent. Did you see that?
Is that Gore-Tex?
I think that's Gore-Tex.
I think it is.
Probably. But how about this? They clinched their 6th straight Commander-in-Chief trophy. It's a wonderful football program at the Naval Academy that Paul Johnson has left behind, and now his coaching staff that he brought here has taken it to yet another level.
And the first Navy coach to lead the team to a bowl game in his first season on the job. Bowden on 4th down. Intercepted. And it could be a pick 6 for Ram Villa. He's gone. Touchdown, Navy. And a salute. The exclamation point. 67 yards. Celebration for the midshipmen.
Well, Villa's just sitting back there, and he's just waiting for the ball to be thrown. And unfortunately, Bowden has no choice but to let it go. He's trying to get his team into the end zone. It was a late throw down the right sideline, and Villa was sitting right there, and the ball came right to him, and then you saw the rest. I mean, it was just basically, and I think what that points out is just how much faster the Navy guys are than the Army guys.
Well, Villa is one of the fastest players on this Navy team. Came to Navy as a slot back, and he just got a chance to make a play out in space for the midshipmen. Extra point. At Harmon. 34-0. And we have seen this Navy team step forward in every phase of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. Ram Villa, the junior from San Antonio, Texas, has got himself an Army-Navy highlight that he'll remember for the rest of his life. Niumatalolo and the Navy midshipmen closing in on another win. 34-0, Navy leading Army. 31 seconds to play, and time right now for the 5-star play of the game, presented by Wrangler.
And Here it is, the third play of the first offensive series for Navy, a 65-yard touchdown run by Sean White as Kaipo read the defense perfectly, made a perfect pitch, and there he is, Sean White. What a football game this young man has played. But then all the important principles for Navy had outstanding games. Nose tackle Frazier had a great game. Katani, the fullback, had a great game. And you could just see Ken Niumatalolo, how he feels on the sideline, getting this one, you know, right. And not only getting it right, emphatically getting it right at 34-0.
Navy kicks it off with John Teague. We have 30 seconds to play. Patrick Mealy the return. And Mealy trying to bust it to the outside. He'll be brought down finally at the 33-yard line. There has not been a shutout in this series in 30 years. 1978. As dominant as Navy has been over the last 7 years now against Army.
And now the most important thing is whether or not Colin Mooney will get the 4 yards that will give him the Navy single-season rushing record. Army's single-season rushing record. That's the first time I did that today.
First time.
Pretty good.
19 seconds left. Let's see if Mooney gets a touch here. 50 yards on the day. It's going to be Mooney up the middle, driving. 16 seconds remain. It's a 3-yard gain for Colin Mooney.
Excruciating.
He has just tied the single-season record.
But Navy's going to take, Army's going to take a timeout. And I think that Stan Brock is recognizing the significance of this accomplishment for Mooney.
10 seconds remain. 2nd and 7 here for Army, and now it's just a question, can Colin Mooney get the yard and put himself in the Army record books?
You know, I'm actually glad to see that this is happening, because there's not much to hang your hat on here if you're Army, and maybe today, the last play of the game here, Colin Mooney could break the record and really have something to be very proud of. I don't know how long that record will last, simply because as Army gets more familiar with this offense, you would think that the fullbacks that are coming behind Mooney will have a better chance to beat his record.
Colin Mooney. Chance for the single-season rushing record in Army history. Gets Griffin backwards. Navy's not going to give it to him. But Army, it is enough. 2-yard gain for Mooney. And that's it. Make it 7 straight wins for Navy in this classic rivalry against Army. And for the first time in 30 years, it's a shutout. 34-0. Navy over Army. Colin Mooney does get the single-season rushing record for Army with 55 yards on the ground. He breaks the previous mark held by Mike Mayweather, set back in 1990. But the dominance of this Navy program, not only against Army, but against Air Force as well.
Well, it means a lot to these two teams. Obviously, the winner goes home with a huge smile on their face, and that's pretty much been Navy for the last 7 years. But when you see them come together like this, you realize, you know, just how strong a bond they have together.
Commander-in-Chief trophy is won outright by Navy once again. 6th consecutive year that they've possessed that. 13 straight wins over service academies. Their last loss came against Air Force.